It's time for Avon Oriole football on Audio Sports Online. Avon Oriole football is brought to you by Reynolds Body Shop, McNamara Florist, Red Cobra Wrestling, and Avon Dental Center. Welcome to Hendricks Regional Health Stadium at Avon High School. My name's Brian Scott. Glad to be back with you this week for Oriole football as Avon, after 2 losses on the road, they are back home. It is homecoming as the Avon Orioles will take on the Fishers Tigers tonight here on Audio Sports Online. Avon coming off of a loss last Friday night. Many of you listened here on Audio Sports Online, and I'd like to thank Marcus Fredwell for filling in for me while I couldn't talk last night. But we are back, and we are ready to get this game underway. Avon with a bit of a gut-wrenching loss last week, a game that head coach Mark Bless in my weekly coaches chat with him thought that they pretty much controlled most of the game. They dominated the game. However, Whiteland scored with a little over 7 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter to make it a one-score game. They score with less than 2 seconds left on the clock. Whiteland elects to go for 2. They run that patented fly sweep of theirs. They get the 2-point conversion. Then they walk away with a 22-21 win over the Orioles last week. For the Orioles passing game, well, they had a tough road to haul in the passing game last week. Cameron Meisner, 4-14 for 55 yards. The running tack, that was still strong. Samson James rushed for over 125 yards on 25 carries, and both James and Brian Fitzgerald found the end zone. Meisner, one of his completions, however, was a 30-yard touchdown pass for Corey DePriest. And while the Avon Oriole defense, who the beginning of the Brownsburg game 2 weeks ago looked like they were getting run all over on, they buckled down in the second half against Brownsburg and for over 3 quarters played a very good game against Whiteland. However, at the end of the game, Whiteland comes away with the victory, and the Orioles face their second straight loss. When we come back, I'll bring in the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelburne, and we'll talk about tonight's game and get ready for the kickoff between the Orioles and the Tigers. This is Avon Oriole football on Audio Sports Online. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com. Avon Dental Center is a proud sponsor of Avon High School sports broadcast. Dr. Timothy Greer and Dr. Christopher Lefebvre have served Hendricks County families for over 20 years. Located in Avon's Beechwood Center area just east of Ivy Tech, they're open Monday through Friday, although early morning hours are available. Avon Dental Center offers high-tech dentistry that includes dental implants, orthodontics, and one-appointment crowns. At Avon Dental Center, their priority is to deliver quality care to informed patients in a comfortable and convenient setting. You can get more information at avondentalcenter.com or call for an appointment at 272-8100. Avon Dental Center has made and donated custom mouth guards to Avon High School athletes every year for the last 15 years. Parents can contact our office if interested in one for their high school athlete. The athletes love them. McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900. Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Redd. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind Sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at redcobrawrestlingacademy.com. Welcome back to Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. Tonight, the Avon Orioles with a record of 2-3, 1-1 in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. They welcome the Fishers Tigers with an identical 2-3 record on the season, but the Tigers are 0-3 in conference play. And I bring in the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelburne. Avon, 2 straight losses on the road. We saw some good things from the defense in the second half of the Brownsburg game. And if you take a look for over 3 quarters in the game last week against Whiteland, the defense played pretty well. But that last 7 or so minutes, whether the defense was a little on the gas side, Whiteland did run about twice as many plays. They held an edge in time of possession. But when I talked to head coach Mark Bless, he really didn't think it was a conditioning issue with his defense. He just thought things just kind of got away from him at the end.
Well, it happens. You coach as best you can, to prevent those kind of things. But unfortunately, it happens. It happens to, in the NFL. It happens in Division I schools. So, at the high school level, it's certainly going to happen. Going on the road is never easy, with high school kids, and Whiteland is a long trip. Even though we've played Whiteland here the last couple of years, it's not what I would call a natural rivalry. When you play within the conference, these kids know each other from, different kinds of events. When you go down to play Whiteland, you're playing against a bunch of kids that you really don't know. In the back of your mind, you hate to think this way, but, they are a 5A school, and I'm sure that's, a little bit in the back of your mind when you've just lined up against Ben Davis and Hamilton Southeastern. No matter how much you try to guard against it as a coach, those kind of things come up. But, this is one of those weeks when it's good that you have a coach, like Mark Bless, who's been around a little bit. And I know when I was coaching, people used to laugh because you'd have one of those games that you didn't expect to lose, and you lose. And it was one of those, I bet you ripped them all week. And actually, I think the approach was usually just the opposite. When you win and the kids get cocky and you win that game that maybe you shouldn't have won, you really stay on the kids a little harder just to make sure that they stay competitive and have that edge. And when you lose a tough game like that, and the last couple of weeks, what you really need to do is just get back to basics and let the kids know you believe in them, and make sure the kids understand that you believe in the system that obviously has been highly successful for Coach Bless and his staff his entire career, and it's been very successful for him here at Avon High School. So it's just a matter of staying healthy, getting back to basics, doing the things you can do, keeping your confidence, trying not to make too many turnovers, and just, kind of getting back to the same level that we had when they really beat what I think and you think, because we saw them play earlier in the year, is an outstanding Hamilton Southeastern game. So you want the kids to play at that level, and hopefully we'll get back to that level here tonight.
Orioles are going to take on the Fishers Tigers, who come in tonight with a record of 2-3. They are 0-3 in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. I'm sure many of you over the past week have heard through the Indianapolis Star, whatever news sources, about head coach Rick Wimmer of the Fishers Tigers. He was not on the sideline last week for Fishers when they fell to Brownsburg by the score of 14-10. That was a game, actually, Fishers, though, led through 3 quarters. Brownsburg got a late score in the 4th quarter to win that game 14-10. Coach Rick Wimmer will not be on the sideline tonight. Instead, offensive coordinator Michael Kelly will coach the Tigers for tonight's contest. However, we did learn shortly before we went on the air this afternoon that Coach Rick Wimmer has been reinstated by Fishers High School. He will be on the sidelines next week. And the Tigers, 2-3 on the season. These two teams, and when I was talking to head coach Mark Bless before earlier this week, I should say, on the coaches show, he really felt that both Fishers and Avon, very similar, two teams that are probably better than their records indicate and have a lot of similarities on both sides of the ball.
They do, and I'm going to interject here just a little bit. This is a personal thing. I don't know all the details in this situation, but I've known Rick Wimmer for over 30 years, and there's not a finer man out there. And, I'm sure the facts of this are going to come out, but I'm just saddened. He's a first-class guy. He's a first-class coach. I just told somebody today that, if my kids had to play for somebody other than me, he might be at the top of the list. So, I just want to speak in his behalf for the people that may not know him. And sometimes you read it in the newspaper about a situation and, you kind of guess at some details and that type of thing. But, I'll go on record here, even though, again, I admit I don't know all the details. There's no finer man out there than Rick Wimmer.
And speaking of this coming into tonight's game, I don't know, did you ever have a game where you were not on the sideline for a game, whether health reasons, sickness, family, whatever?
I
talked to Coach Mark Bless. He says he's never missed a game. He's never missed a practice. And I understand, when you get into football, you've got offensive court.
Actually, this goes way, way back. My first year as a head coach, I was a 26-year-old head coach, and I crashed. And I overdid it, and I ended up in the hospital for 3 days, and I actually missed the game. So other than that, once I figured this game out a little bit and got the stress level to where it should be, and obviously went on to a career where I spent 33 years as a head coach. But that first year I did. But I understand what you're saying. It's just odd, and your heart's there. I'm sure he wants to be here, and.
But the good thing about football, and unlike several other sports, maybe basketball, even baseball, the coaching staffs are so much tighter. Against offensive coordinator Mike Kelly will coach the Tigers tonight, but as a head coach, an offensive coordinator, defensive, they all work very closely together. And when you have a situation like this, it's really not a huge drop-off.
You carry on. Coach Wimmer has certainly developed an outstanding football program and a football culture at Fishers. He was able to start the program there, so, he put his stamp on things early. If he were a first-year coach, it might be a little bit different, but it's his program, and I'm sure the head coach or the assistant coaches will tell you that they're going to try and do the things that he has kind of taught them to do, and run the sidelines and run the practices the way he's kind of mentored them to do it. And they're far enough now into his program that his mark is on the program. So I know they'd like to have him there. I'm certain that he wants to be there, and in spirit, they know he's there, but it's his program, whether he's on the sidelines or not.
Well, the Tigers do have some concerns coming into tonight's game. They played Brownsburg again, losing to Brownsburg. The defense has been very good for the Tigers. As a matter of fact, you take a look at both Avon and Fishers. They both have played Hamilton Southeastern. Fishers led that game 2 weeks ago against Hamilton Southeastern into the second half, only to end up being tied at the end of regulation and losing it on a field goal. After a bit of a delay by weather, they ended up losing that game by 3 points, 33-30, 2 weeks ago. Last week, the Tigers, they had some problems offensively. They only had 10 first downs on the game. They rushed for 128 yards, but net gain. But you add up some of the sacks and some of the losses, they ended up with only 87 yards rushing and 64 yards passing. So they had some problems on offense, but defensively, Fisher's still a very, very good football team. And, of course, we watched Avon just 3 weeks ago take a Hamilton Southeastern team, pretty much dominate them from start to finish. 2 weeks ago against Brownsburg, the Bulldogs looked like they were going to run all over Avon in that first half. But the Oriole defense came back in the second half. And for Coach Mark Bless, he's got to have some questions right now really about his passing game. The running game with Samson James and Brian Fitzgerald, that's looking pretty good. But right now their passing attack has been very limited.
Well, I think Cameron Miser is an outstanding high school quarterback. Obviously the standard that everybody is setting him against is Brandon Peters, who was the number one player in the state of Indiana. But I think he is a very solid high school quarterback. The games I've seen him play, he's performed very well. Last year Brandon had, Matt Moore, who I referred to I don't know how many times in our broadcasts, as the top tight end in the state. And if there was a better wide receiver than Andrew Griffin, I didn't see him last year. So, there were some weapons last year. This year, it's pretty much all brand new receivers. You got a sophomore tailback. You got a brand new quarterback. You've got, a tight end coming back that they expected to be back early that didn't end up playing until 2 weeks ago. So, they're still struggling a little bit with an identity. They Coach Moore, I think, does a nice job of trying to balance up the attack. If you know Avon for anything, I think it's the fact that they can run and throw. And this year they're struggling just a little bit to determine that identity. But I think they'll get back to the basics tonight, and I think they'll be fine. And hopefully Cameron Meisner will come out here early and kind of get on a roll, because I think in the games I've seen him play, I think he's done a nice job.
Cameron Meisner on the season has thrown for 647 yards. He does have 9 touchdown passes. 6 of those go to Luke Shiotovich, and only 2 interceptions on the season. And Coach Mark Bless said even in last week's game, while Meisner only completed 4 passes, he said there were several that were right on the money, a couple that just were dropped, and they hope to tighten some things up this week. Really look for another wide receiver to step up. Luke Shiotovich has pretty much been the Orioles' dominant receiver, and we also saw the 30-yard touchdown pass to Corey DePriest last week. So the Orioles, however, are going to kick this football away, as it will be the Fishers Tigers. Head coach or offensive coordinator Mike Kelly is acting head coach tonight for the Tigers as we get ready for football from Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. Glad you could join us for Avon Oriole football on Audio Sports Online. A warm first full day of fall, 84 degrees at kickoff. Plenty of sunshine, a light wind, a beautiful night for football. It is homecoming. Sit back. We hope you enjoy tonight's game as Heidorn puts a foot into it, and R.J. Potts will take it at the goal line. He'll come up to the 5, to the 10, to the 15, and he will be brought down. And he will be brought down just at the 22-yard line, and bringing out the Tigers offense will be quarterback Joel Smith. Smith, a 6-foot, 174-pound senior. He's averaging about 127 yards passing a game. This Tigers offense and Tigers squad, they haven't been a very explosive offense this year as they come in to tonight's contest. Tigers have scored 133 points, have given up 135 points. And on 1st and 10, Smith will pitch it out. They'll send it to the left side. Here's a run around left end, and taking it is Trevor Newman, a 6-foot, 175-pound senior, and a nice run to open up the game for the Tigers.
Yeah, good first down play. On first down, you're always looking for 4 or 5 yards. It makes your play calling a little simpler. Avon plays a defense where they normally will put an extra man to the field because most teams like to run to the field. That time, Fishers decided to run it into the sidelines and picked up a good gain on first down.
Something you don't see too much anymore in high school football, in an old-fashioned I formation. And Smith will hand off to the tailback. This once again coming to the left or right side and not finding a whole lot of running room is Trevor Newman.
They'll be close to a first down.
And it looks like he will have it by maybe a half a yard. In an age where we see lots of 4-wide spreads, not too many times you're going to see an I formation anymore in high school football, but a nice run, and that's pretty much what we expect to see out of Fishers tonight. They have 3 tailbacks that can all run the ball very well, and we expect to see a whole lot of that tonight. They'll go with a jumbo package, single tailback, wide receivers left and right. Smith back to pass, however. He'll fling up left side, almost intercepted. Nice play by the 5'6", 155-pound sophomore Nathan Conley.
Yeah, he sat on the route. So they happened to be in a rolled-up coverage. They tried to run a little hitch route. He really ended up throwing into coverage, probably a throw he shouldn't have made, and Conley made a nice break on the ball and almost came away with the interception.
Colin Statz will head out to the far side of the field. He'll be joined out there by Michael Johnson and also by Devontae Adams on this 2nd down and 10. Ball is at the 32-yard line of Fishers, opening drive of the football game. Play action pass. They'll swing it out to Statz, and that time pressure came, and Joel Smith, he simply had to get rid of that football over the head of his intended receiver, 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Seth Lewis put good pressure on him. They were just trying to run a little bubble screen out there. Throw the ball wide, get it out to one of their wide receivers with a couple other wide receivers out there in front to block. But, the pressure on him forced him to throw the ball high. Avon with a 3rd and 10 now. This is exactly where you want to be, especially when you've got the other team back on their 30-yard line.
They'll bring 3 wide outs. That is R.J. Potts. He is very dangerous. He's to the near side of the formation. 3rd and 10. Smith back to pass, fires it over the middle, looking for his intended receiver. That was big Michael Johnson, the 6'5", 225-pound senior. Pass is incomplete, and that'll bring on a punting situation for the Tigers.
Yeah, good start for Avon. That's exactly what they want. They gave up the 1 first down, but they forced him to go 3rd and 10 and throw the incompletion, and now Avon should get the ball here on offense with pretty good field position.
There's Taylor Soper to kick this ball away for the Tigers. He had 11 punts last week against Brownsburg. Back deep, Luke Shyatovich, and it will be Brian Fitzgerald. Here's a high end-over-end kick. Shyatovich will take it at the 35. He'll go up to the 40, cut near side to the 45, into the side the 50 to the 47-yard line. Good return by Luke Shyatovich. And the Orioles will begin their first possession of the football game on the Tigers side of the 50-yard line, 1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. And their first possession will be with excellent field position in Cameron Meisner, the 6'3", 190-pound junior quarterback. Coming in to lead this Oriole offense, I mentioned Meisner has thrown for 647 yards and 9 touchdowns this season, and he will have in the backfield Brian Samson James, but he'll take the snap. He'll look, fires downfield, pass is complete as he hits on a crossing route. Luke Shyatovich for a pickup of about 13 yards down to the 34-yard line.
Yeah, terrific throw. A lot of zip on that ball, hit him on the turn, great protection by the line, and that's the kind of start that Cameron needs to get off to, and nice route and catch by Luke Shyatovich.
That'll bring a 1st and 10, ball at the 34-yard line. 3 wideouts for the Orioles on this first down play. Meisner has James in the backfield. Adrian Lozano is tied in, and this play will be blown dead as Meisner was throwing to the right to Chad Carmichael.
Yeah, I think Fisher's corner lined up offsides. He's trying to play tight coverage, and I think he unfortunately lined up over the line of scrimmage, so it's a free 5 yards for Avon.
So a good play on 1st and 10, a 13-yard pickup, and now a 5-yard penalty has the Orioles inside the 30 to the Tiger 29-yard line. Well, they will have 1st down and 5. You see the Tigers in looks like a 4-2 nickel scheme. They'll run
this is Tom Allen's scheme down at IU. It looks like they must have gone down there and spent a little time with him in the spring because this is Tom's scheme.
It is 1st down and 5 as Meisner looks over this defense. And now another penalty flag, and it's because the play clock has expired. So
that shouldn't be. They reset that wrong. I mean, if they had a penalty and they get 40 seconds to get it off, it didn't seem like 40 seconds ran off. So I'm not sure when they started running that clock.
Well, Coach Bless agreeing with you, saying that he thought the play clock should have been reset. As it is, it's back.
Of course he is.
Yeah, of course he is. As it is, the 5 yards they gained on the offsides, they'll lose on the delay of game, and we're back to 1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. 4 wideouts in the pattern, 3 to the far side. Meisner back to pass. Good pocket. Now rolls to his right, leaves it to James as a little check down, and James will have the 1st down as he picks up about 7 yards after the catch, and he'll take it down to the Tiger 20-yard line, and a good job by Meisner just checking it down and getting the 1st down.
Well, but he's getting the opportunity. Let's give a little credit here to the offensive line coached by Jared Johnson. Tonight they're giving him plenty of time. He's able to read the field. That was a check down route, which means he went to 2 or 3 other guys first. They weren't there, so he was able to find that receiver.
Meisner hits Isaac Garendo on the near side, and Isaac still fighting, and finally they will stop him at the 3-yard line. Isaac caught that ball at about the 12. Looked like he was going to be stopped at about the 10 or the 9, but just kept fighting. Eventually, he's finally brought down at the 3, and it'll be 1st and goal for Avon.
Well, I can tell you as a guy that stood in there when I played as a quarterback, it's a lot easier to make those throws when you don't have anybody in your face and you've got plenty of time, and the offensive line has just done a great job here at the start of the game.
1st and goal. This is Samson James to the right of Meisner on this 1st down. He'll get the carry. He'll take it inside. He'll roll over a Tigers defender. No signal, and they're going.
Oh, he's in.
Now the near sideline.
If I can see it from up here, they can see it from down on the field.
It. The far side official was marking it. Now the referee's going to bring both side judges in, the line judge and the side judge, to talk about it. The near side official who had the better look, called it a touchdown. The far side official was marking it short. And it is a touchdown, a 3-yard touchdown run for Samson James. And the Orioles take advantage of good field position after forcing the Tigers to punt. A couple of nice throws by Cameron Meisner. Samson James does the rest. And with 8:42 left to go in this first quarter, for the point after is Justin Heidorn, left-footed kicker. Puts this ball up, puts this ball through, and it is good. And with 8:42 left to go in this first quarter, Orioles lead 7-0. Back with the kickoff after this on Audio Sports Online. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com. Samson James, 3-yard touchdown run, puts the Orioles on the scoreboard with 8:42 left to go in the opening quarter. They lead Fishers 7-0 as Heidorn puts a foot into it, and R.J. Potts is just going to watch this one go into the end zone. So the Oriole defense, which did a good job on the Tigers on that opening possession, they set it up with forcing the Tigers to punt. Luke Shayatovich with a good return. And right there, Coach, all 3 phases of your team working in unison.
Well, Avon's off to a good start. I really like the confidence they showed in Meisner coming out throwing the ball. They must have determined that that was the way to attack Fishers here tonight. He was on the money. Their pass protection was great, and they ran well when they had to. And the defense did their job the first time out, and, they've got great field position here again.
Smith will hand the ball off. This is an inside handoff, and making a nice run out of it is Michael Noble, a 5'10", 184-pound junior. We'll see a trio of tailbacks for the Tigers. We saw Trevor Newman in the first series. Michael Noble had that carry. We'll also see a 6', 172-pound senior Max Shores. They will run a fullback, as we saw in that I formation a little earlier. But right now they will go with a single back. I believe that is Newman once again in the backfield. A big set. 3 wide outs. Handoff is to, now that is once again Michael Noble, and he's only going to find a few black-clad Avon Oriole defenders, and climbing up off of that looks like it was Gunnar Larson making the tackle.
Yeah, well, Gunner's a 3-year starter, quality player, runner-up in the state wrestling last year, so he's a good, solid veteran, and he and Hunt really solidify that defensive line, and right now they're beating up the Fishers offensive line.
3 wideouts on this 3rd and long for the Tigers. Orioles would love to get them off of the field after just scoring that touchdown. Back to pass. Smith, incomplete, and here's a penalty flag coming from the back judge. On a crossing route was Brian Kantner. He had contact with an Oriole defender, and that's where the ball was going, and it looks like this one might go against Avon.
Yeah, it looked like the Avon linebacker kind of discouraged the crossing route, and
they call holding.
Maybe didn't time it quite as well.
Either way, the Tigers will get a first down on the defensive holding penalty, and that will spot the ball at the 33-yard line of Fishers, so they will pick up a free first down, and Joel Smith will check over the sideline. Again, Michael Kelly, the interim head coach for tonight. He is also the offensive coordinator, as Smith will bend under his center, Nathan Peretz. But the handoff is to the big back, Max Shores, the 3rd of those 3 running backs that we'll see from the Tigers tonight. He'll go over the left side and pick up about 3.
Yeah, and that's a staple of Coach Wimmer's offense. That outside zone, they run it very well. They play action like crazy off of it. it simplifies the blocking for the linemen because they're all just kind of zone blocking in that direction. It's an offense where they don't make many mistakes, and it sets up play action that Fishers generally does extremely well.
Back to pass to Smith. He fires, and he was looking over to the left side, trying to get the ball into the hands of his wide receiver, Colin Stats, and that ball was a little high. Stats probably could have brought it down, but it goes incomplete. It'll bring up 3rd and long once again.
Yeah, which is a great situation. This is exactly where Avon wants to be, and hopefully they'll be in this all night long. I mean, at 3rd and 8, their defensive linemen can just pin their ears back and go because they are expecting pass. Normally in this situation, I think Coach Bombi will send at least one of his linebackers to put a little extra pressure on, and the DBs know exactly how far they've got to run the route to get a first down, and they'll squat on that yardage.
Smith back to pass. He fires over the middle, in and out of the hands of Ian Pendleton. Oh, Pendleton, just take a look at that football. If he could have held on to that, there was nobody to the left side that was going to touch him before he hit the end zone. But as it is, it'll bring up a 4th down for the Tigers, and for the second consecutive drive, they'll have to punt this ball away to Avon.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you the coverage they were in, he was kind of a robber-type coverage. He was just squatting in there reading the quarterback. The quarterback never saw him, and, that was almost a pick 6 for Avon.
So once again, we will see Taylor Sopel, high kick. Shayatovich will call for a fair catch, and he will take it at the 28-yard line. And Avon, the defense, does a good job. They force a pair of 3rd and longs. The Tigers get a first down on a penalty, but they couldn't do much more with the football. They're forced to punt for the second time, and this time Meisner and the Oriole offense will have it 1st and 10 from their own 28-yard line. With 6:44 left to go in this opening quarter, they lead 7-0 alongside the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne. I'm Brian Scott. Glad you can join us for Avon Varsity Football on Audio Sports Online. As the Orioles will start this drive 1st and 10 from their own 28. Samson James is the tailback. Meisner will hand the ball off, and James is going to be met before he could even hit the line of scrimmage. And coming over to make the tackle was the big defensive tackle, Jeff Inman, a 6'2", 235-pound senior.
Yeah, so somebody obviously missed a block there, but it'll be interesting to see, for me, just to see how Avon comes out. They were highly successful the first drive throwing the football. I know they'd like to establish the running game here a little bit, but that first play was not the way you want to start a drive.
So that's a loss of 3 on the play, 2nd and 13. We'll give you the starting lineups here in a few moments. And on this 2nd and 13, the pass, that's Corey DePriest. He catches the ball at the 30, and then he is jacked. That is R.J. Potts, and Potts got a lot of pub the past couple of years as an offensive player, but he is still one of the best corners in the HCC.
And that's a nice throw and a nice catch. They're sitting in a zone. What they're trying to do is stretch the zone. Corey got in between 2 linebackers, made the catch knowing he was going to be hit, but ran a nice route. Meisner put the ball exactly where it had to be, and he made a big catch for about 7 or 8 yards.
It'll be 3rd down and 7 from the 31-yard line. Clock moves, 5:32 left to go first quarter. Avon up 7-0. Meisner back to pass on 3rd and 7. He drops back now, is flushed to the right. Now he'll throw it up, and it's almost intercepted. It was in and out of the hands over that side to Cameron Moulton, just kind of lofted that ball in the air. And fortunately, there was nobody that could make the play on the ball. Almost picked off by Fishers. As an end, it's going to be incomplete and 4th down.
Yeah, if you're going to throw it away, you either got to throw it at the guy's feet or throw it all the way out of bounds. And I'm not sure if he just couldn't get his feet underneath him to do that or not, but he was pretty well covered. And Fishers put a little bit more pressure on him that time than they did the first series.
Mason Stemler to kick. H.L. Lewis. R.J. Potts back deep for the Tigers. Here they come. The nice kick. Pressure as R.J. Potts will call for the fair catch at the 38-yard line. And now the Tigers, who have had 2 drives that really haven't amounted to anything yet, as good Avon defense has really limited them. They'll now start this drive 1st and 10 from their own 38.
Well, and I believe this is their best field position. It'll be interesting to see. They really haven't gone deep yet. They ran that outside zone outside a little bit, but they ran the option on the very first play of the game and had some success outside. But in that 3-3 stack look that Avon runs, blitzing the linebackers like they do, I think, in a normal basis, it's a little bit tough to run inside the tackles.
This time Joel Smith, he will bend under center. He will hand the ball off. This is Trevor Newman. He'll look for some room, and he will find a few tough yards up the middle in what looked like to be maybe a 1 or 2 yard gain. A powerful run by the 6', 175-pound senior, and that's him 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 6.
Yeah, they should have made the tackle back a little bit, probably at the line of scrimmage, and he was either able to run through it or it was a missed tackle to pick up 4 really hard-earned yards.
They will send to the far side. That's Devontae Adams. And once again, Colin Statz is to the near side with an H-back left. As Smith once again will bend under center. They'll bring a man in motion and now hand the ball off once again. This is Newman. He finds some room, and he'll pick up another 3 yards, and that's going to bring up 3rd and 3.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Fishers continues to run inside the tackles, I'm sure Coach Bombi and Avon will be very happy. That's the strength of this defense. That's what they do very well. Their experienced players are Hunt and Larson, and they're playing on the inside. And if they're going to try to carry the offense running in between the tackles, I think it's going to be tough for them.
So big 3rd down and 3 for this Tigers squad. 3 wideouts, 2 to the near side. This time Smith will work out of the gun. He'll fake the handoff, keep it himself. He's got some room on the left side. He has the first down to the 50, to the 45. And a nice job as he faked the handoff to Newman. That drew everybody in. And then Joel Smith found a whole lot of running room off to the left side. And the Tigers are in Oriole territory for the first time tonight.
Yeah, good call from upstairs. I mean, we're up here in the press box, and the Fisher spotters are up in theirs, and they can see that from down there. But, Avon runs to the football very well. In fact, if anything, maybe too well, and they were able to take advantage of that aggressive pursuit by running a little quarterback counterplay.
This time in 1st and 10, Smith will work out of the gun. He will hand the ball off and making a run toward the left side and picking up several yards on the play.
So 7 or 8 on 1st down. And again,
is H.L. Lewis.
Yeah, little inside zone counter. Look, inside zone, the back usually is going to take it over behind the right guard, and that's where the play started, and he veered it back to the weak side. Again, you're hoping for Avon to over pursue, which they did a little bit, and that's a good gain on 1st down for Fishers.
So this is the 4th different tailback we've seen from the Tigers tonight. We've seen Trevor Newman, Michael Noble, Max Shorts, and now H.L. Lewis is single back, and they will fake it. Smith rolls out near side. He's going to keep it and run. He'll have the 1st down, and he'll finally be brought down, but not until he gets past the 30-yard line. Coming over to make the tackle, believe it was Caden Hubner.
Well, that's a staple of Coach Wimmer's offense. They get you thinking zone, outside, inside, and then they'll come back and run that little naked counter like they did. They faked the outside zone to the field, and the quarterback kept the ball. They're counting on Avon to be, that aggressive defense that I talked about a couple of plays earlier, and, that was an excellent play call.
Nathan Humphrey in as a wideout for the Tigers. He's to the far side of the formation. They'll bring a man in motion. Lewis remains the tailback. He'll get the ball. He'll cut it inside. Eludes Brian Fitzgerald, but he's not going to elude the likes coming in to make the tackle of Alex Griffith. Fitzgerald had a chance to bring him down for a loss, and he slowed him down just enough for Griffith to come in and make the tackle for no gain at 2nd and 10.
Well, again, like I mentioned, that's kind of a staple of Fisher's offense, and it sets up just about everything else that they do, so they're willing to run that play even if it's not quite as successful as they'd want it to be, because it sets up some of the other things in their offense. 1:40
left to go in this opening quarter. 7-0 Avon. Tigers with their best field position. Play action pass. They will fire out. They have a man over the 25 to the 20, and brought down at the 18-yard line by Ian Pendleton was Michael Johnson, the 6'5", 225-pound senior tight end. And it'll be very close, but maybe a yard shy of a 1st down.
They're making me look like I know what I'm talking about. I mean, they came right out and faked that outside zone again to the outside. They delayed the back out into the backfield, and he was open for a nice gain and a 1st down. And, Fishers right now has put together a nice little drive here. They've nickel and dime. They've kind of split up the run and pass, and, now they're down here inside the 20-yard line with 1st down.
They did give him the 1st down on the play. So 1st and 10 from the Oriole 18-yard line. Clock reads minute 17 and counting. H.L. Lewis remains the tailback. He'll get the ball. He'll come short side, and he'll pick up about 2 or 3 yards before he is brought down. Brian Fitzgerald, Ian Pendleton on the tackle for Avon. Clock will continue to run. It's going to be a pickup of about 4 yards for H.L. Lewis.
Yeah, for the most part, Avon's done a nice job. Nothing big. They're making them nickel and dime. They're making them pick up some first downs, but they're not letting them get anything big. Fishers, on the other hand, is trying to counter a little bit. They're running multiple formations with just a few basic plays that they run very well, and they're mixing in the play-action pass to kind of counter Avon's aggressiveness.
Offside eye to the left as they'll bring a man in motion. This is Lewis. He'll take it right up the middle, dive forward, and he's going to be very close to a first down.
Yep.
They brought a man in motion from the far side wide receiver, but they had that fullback in as the offset lead blocker, and then Lewis just dove forward, and he's going to be about a yard short. That's going to bring up 3rd and 1 as the clock's down to under 20 seconds left to go in this first quarter.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to let the quarter run out, so if they're going to go for this first down, it'll be on the other end.
And that's exactly what's going to happen as the offense heads to the sideline. We have played a quarter's worth of football at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. Very fast-moving opening quarter, and the Orioles find themselves out in front of Fishers by the score of 7-0. We'll change ends and bring you second quarter action after this. This is Avon Oriole football on Audio Sports Online. Avon Dental Center is a proud sponsor of Avon High School sports broadcast. Dr. Timothy Greer and Dr. Christopher Lefebvre have served Hendricks County families for over 20 years. Located at Avon's Beechwood Center area just east of Ivy Tech, they're open Monday through Friday, although early morning hours are available. Avon Dental Center has made and donated custom mouth guards to Avon High School athletes every year for the last 15 years. For more information on how parents can get a mouth guard for their high school athlete or for any dental questions, go to avondentalcenter.com or call for an appointment at 272-8100. Back at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium, we'll flip ends and begin second quarter action with the Fishers Tigers trailing the Avon Orioles 7-0 and they will face a 3rd down and 1 from the Oriole 9-yard line. This is a drive that began with a little over 5 minutes left to go in the first quarter, and the Tigers have taken it down to the 9-yard line, and they will have it 3rd and 1. Smith, handoff. This is Lewis. He is brought down behind the line of scrimmage. Brian Fitzgerald, the first to make contact, and then Alex Griffith finished it off, and a big loss on the play. That'll push him back to about the 12-yard line.
Well, that's Coach Bomby's style. He's been highly successful with it. They blitz a lot. They try to put pressure on an offense, or they're looking to make big plays like that. When you've got an athlete as good as Fitz to make those plays, that's a great play call.
This is a 29-yard field goal attempt by Ben Norton, one of the better kickers in the HCC. And he'll put a foot into it. The kick is up, and the kick is good. A 29-yard field goal by Ben Norton, and the Fishers Tigers take some time off the clock, but they do manage to put some points on the board. And now they trail Avon by the score of 7-3 alongside the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne. I'm Brian Scott. We saw a little bit of a difference in Fishers from the first 2 drives where they were pretty much just either going straight ahead or doing a little bit of that option. This time, a lot more misdirections on this drive, and they were pretty successful with it.
Yeah, they were, and it looks like they may need to be, and I don't mean this to sound critical, but they don't look like they've got that real burner this year. Everything they're going to do offensively, it looks like they're going to have to earn. They've had a couple of nice runs. They've been able to throw the football a little bit, but I'm not sure they've got a player on the offense, and I hope I don't get proved wrong here later that, can break that 70-yarder or that can, run by one of our DBs.
Ben Norton puts a foot into it, and again, he's one of the better kickers in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. He sends this one into the end zone, and the Orioles will have their worst field position of the night because they're going to start this drive on their own 20-yard line. However, they hold a 7-3 lead with 11:16 left to go in this first half of play. And Cameron Meisner in the offense back out onto the field for the Orioles. And it will be Bryant Fitzgerald in at tailback for Coach Mark Bless on this drive, and they'll start with a 3-wide-out look. Looking over that 4-2-5 defense to give us to Fitzgerald. He's right up the middle, breaks a tackle to the 30, to the 35, still on his feet, and he will pick up about 22 yards on just a straight-ahead bull run. Ran over a few Tigers in the process. He picks up 22 and a big run for Avon.
Yeah, it was a straight-ahead bull run, but it was a pretty quick straight-ahead bull run. He's a special athlete, and, from time to time he needs to be used on offense, and, he's got this drive going and a little spark in the Avon offense already.
So a 22-yard gain, 1st and 10. Fitzgerald will get a big hole opened up. He's to the 50, to the 45. To the 40, and he'll run out of bounds. That offensive line opened up a hole that I could run through. And those of you that know me know I can't run at all.
Well, a little guard pull-around power play. Great block by the pulling guard. Also a great block downfield by Luke Shiatovich, and that's something that doesn't get seen or mentioned very often. But, he broke through the line of scrimmage clean and had a couple of nice blocks downfield.
So just like that, 2 plays, they're in Tiger territory. Samson James back in, and he continues with some strong running. A pickup of 3 yards, I should say, on 1st and 10 from the Tiger 38-yard line. And Brian Fitzgerald got them in Tiger territory. Now Samson James in for 1 play, and right back to the offensive backfield goes Brian Fitzgerald.
Yeah, well, the offensive line has really come off this series and really handling things up front.
2nd down and 7. Meisner back to pass, fires, and it's almost intercepted. He was looking for Luke Shiatovich, but excellent defense right there, because coming in for the Tigers was the weak side linebacker Emmanuel Davis. He just kind of...
He looked like he was in the huddle because he just matched the route. They tried to run a little in route, and he just stepped right in front of Luke Shiatovich when he made the little turn in, and we're very fortunate that he didn't pick that ball off.
It will bring up 3rd down and 7 for Meisner in the offense. Fitzgerald is the tailback, 3 wideouts. It's Corey DeBreese near side. The give is to Bryant. He'll look for some room. He'll cut it outside. Now he'll cut it in, and he's going to be very close to a 1st down. Good run by Brian Fitzgerald, and he may be close enough for the 1st down or at least a measurement.
Well, it's funny when you get that great back like that. The linemen are holding their blocks probably the same as they do for other kids, but, the great backs don't need it held quite so long. And, again, the blocking downfield by the wide receivers has really been excellent.
Needed 7, got 7, plus about the nose of a football. It's a 1st down for the Oriole offense as we approach the 10-minute mark left to go 1st half. Fitzgerald didn't find anything to the left, didn't find a whole lot to the right, but a whole bunch of white-clad Tiger jerseys right there as the defense came and met Bryant at the line of scrimmage as Angelo Howells, the 6'2", 230 senior, was there to bring down Fitzgerald. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, Fisher's got the stalemate up front that they haven't been getting this entire drive, but that time they did.
Meisner back to pass, 2nd and 10. He'll step up. He'll be chased from behind, and he'll finally come down. Pressure came. Meisner stepped up, but he finally could not evade coming in on the play. For the Tigers was Eli Kipp, a 6'1", 205-pound senior defensive end, a loss of 3 on the play back to the 31-yard line. Will be 3rd and 13.
Yeah, it is, and they've got to be just kind of on the edge of field goal range here. Heidorn's got a big leg. This would be a big kick, almost a 50-yarder, but, rather than maybe try to go for the 1st down when they need 13 or 14, they might just try to get enough to get them into field goal range.
4 wide receivers in the pattern, and here's a pass. He's got DePriest at the 10. Corey couldn't stay in bounds, but it's a pickup of 20 yards inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal. Meisner to DePriest at the Tiger 8.
Yeah, they ran what's called the smash route. They take the outside receiver and hitch him up. And against 2 safety teams, what you do is run the inside receiver on a corner route. Excellent throw. That was a long throw to the left, which is tough on a right-hander, but Meisner put that ball right on the money.
Shayanovich and Carmichael to the near side, DePriest to the far side, but the give is to Samson James, looking for some room on the right side.
Oh,
turns
what a
the
block.
corner, gets the block, and the Orioles get the touchdown. An 8-yard touchdown run from Samson James.
And that's Carmichael. Carmichael had a huge block. Put the Fishers DB flat on the ground, and that allowed him just to walk in the end zone. Great drive.
A great drive. It was set up by Brian Fitzgerald with a 22-yard scamper on 1st and 10, and then another big run, and then Meisner hits DePriest on 3rd and long, and Samson James does the rest. Heidorn on for the point after. It is good, and with 8:43 left to go in this first half, Avon extends their lead to 14-3. We'll be back with a kickoff in just a moment on Audio Sports Online. Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Red. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at RedCobraWrestlingAcademy.com. After the Fishers Tigers took over 5.5 minutes off the clock and settled for a 29-yard field goal, the Orioles, they march it right down the field in no time flat. They score from 8 yards out by Samson James, and they now have a 14-3 lead as this ball will be kicked off and fielded by Potts at the 3-yard line. He's going to get up to the 10, to the 15. He will try to make a move, makes one cut, makes one man miss, but eventually he'll be brought down at about the 21-yard line. And the Tigers now trailing 14-3 after a long extended drive. Their previous possession that resulted in a field goal. Now they're back out on the field, finding themselves trailing by 11 with 8:35 left to go in the first half.
Well, you know, it's easy just to label it this way, but, you know, Fitz is a big-time player, and they put him in to be the running back, and he kind of provided the spark. He got him off, to a great start on the drive, and they were able to continue the drive, for the touchdown. So big-time players make big-time plays, and he made a couple of them on that drive.
Smith back to pass. Now he will pull it down, and he'll run. He'll have some room, and he's going to take a bit of a hit. Probably not a smart idea when you have both Ian Pendleton and Brian Fitzgerald in front of you to stand and take the hit. Probably better off to maybe slide in that instance, as he's going to be stopped a yard short of the first down.
But made a great decision. They really wanted to run a little quick screen out to the right. It was covered. You just put the ball away. If you get back to the line of scrimmage, that's good. And he actually picked up 9.
They will put 4 wideouts in the pattern. Will the Tigers on this 2nd down and 1 as we hit 8 minutes left to go in the half? They'll run the option. Here's the pitch, a fumble, and the Orioles have the football. They tried to pitch wide to Max Shores, and Shores just never got a hand on it. And coming away with the football is Alex Griffith, the outside linebacker for Avon.
Well, Fitz was up there. They actually, the first time they ran the option, they ran it into the short side. That time they ran it into the side where Avon had the extra defender. So when they ended up running the option out there, there was one more guy that they could account for. They pitched the ball, they put it on the ground, and Avon came up with the big turnover and, an outstanding field position.
So they'll start this drive on the 30-yard line up 14-3, 7:53 left to go in the first half. First turnover of the game goes by the way of the Orioles as they will start this drive with 4 wideouts. Samson James, the tailback, Meisner back to pass. He looks, good protection, fires deep, looking for DePriest, and it is broken up in the end zone. Coming over to make the play on the football was Michael Noble. Corey DePriest was open in the end zone, but good closing speed by Noble. That ball hung up just a little bit, allowing Noble to run under it and knock it down.
Well, when you're in a zone, that's kind of the way you try to play it. You backpedal as much as you can and figure that if he's going to be throwing the ball 30, 40 yards down the field, you're going to have time to make that break. I mean, from up here it looks like he's open, but from down there that's a really, really big throw to make, and the DB had plenty of time. He was closer to make the break and knock it down.
Carmichael and Shayatovich go to the far side of the field. Fitzgerald in his tailback. Tigers show blitz. Here they come. They give us to Fitz. He finds a hole, and he will be brought down. Coming in to make the tackle on the play for the Tigers was Emmanuel Davis. Lost a helmet, but if he didn't hold on for dear life to Fitzgerald, Fitzgerald was running to the end zone.
Yeah, he probably was. They actually ended up running into a double linebacker blitz, and that's one of those that you either get nothing or you get everything, and they were very, very close to getting the whole works.
But it'll be 3rd down and 4. Orioles need to get to the 20-yard line to get the first down. Fitzgerald is the tailback, and they're going to get a very cheap first down as Tigers trying to guess the snap count on a big 3rd and 4, commit a crucial penalty. That will give Avon a first down, a free 5 yards, and a moving of the chains and a fresh set of downs.
Yeah, those are the kind, again, I mentioned multiple times as a head coach, just drive you nuts. You know, they're supposed to watch the ball, but they all listen for the snap count. They think they've got it figured out. And, you know, the offense very wisely used that to their advantage and got the cheap first down and good field position. 1st and 10
at the Tiger 19-yard line. Fitzgerald on an end around left side. He will cut it up and get about 3 yards on the carry. He'll take it down close to the 15, a little shy of that. Call it 2nd down and 7 as the clock continues to move with 6:33 showing on the game clock here in the first half. Avon leading 14-3.
Yeah, he's just got that extra gear. I mean, I always said the great running backs have 2 gears. They kind of have that glide gear, and then they have that little that little jet, you know, when the opening occurs that you can just kind of run through it, and Fitz certainly has that 2nd gear.
Officials stop the clock, reset the game clock, and now the Orioles will have a 3 wide out look with Garendo and
blitz coming. They got man coverage all the way. They're going to be bringing a couple.
Here's Fitzgerald. He'll dive past one. He gets past another and into the end zone.
Well, again, as I just said, you blitz, it's all or nothing. That time Avon was able to block it well enough. Once you break through that first level, there's nothing left, and that's what they were able to do. They blocked well enough at the line of scrimmage. You get him going with a head of steam. There was nobody left at the 2nd level because they blitzed, and Fitz was able to walk in for an easy touchdown.
A 16-yard touchdown run. All 3 of the Orioles scores on the ground. And Hydorn on for the point after. He'll get the leg into it, put it up, and put it through. 6:02 remains in the first half. Avon with a 21-3 lead. Back with a kickoff after this. This is Oriole football on ASO. Avon Dental Center is a proud sponsor of Avon High School sports broadcast. Dr. Timothy Greer and Dr. Christopher Lefebvre have served Hendricks County families for over 20 years. Located in Avon's Beechwood Center area just east of Ivy Tech, they're open Monday through Friday, although early morning hours are available. Avon Dental Center offers high-tech dentistry that includes dental implants, orthodontics, and one-appointment crowns. At Avon Dental Center, their priority is to deliver quality care to informed patients in a comfortable and convenient setting. You can get more information at avondentalcenter.com or call for an appointment at 272-8100. Avon Dental Center has made and donated custom mouth guards to Avon High School athletes every year for the last 15 years. Parents can contact our office if interested in one for their high school athlete. The athletes love them. As we're back in the kickoff taken by R.J. Potts, and he won't get any farther than 20-yard line. Good coverage once again by Orioles kickoff squads. And right now for the Tigers, they just need to find out what they can do. They had one good drive. It resulted in a 29-yard Ben Norton field goal. But other than that, it's been the Orioles defense that has been the story of the game as far as the Tigers offense is concerned. And right now, here they are back 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. 5:57 left to go in this first half, down 21-3.
Yeah, they have plenty of time here to score, and if they're going to stay in this game, it's really imperative for Fishers to try to put together a drive here and get a touchdown.
Smith back to pass. He looks, and it's broken up. They were looking to catch Devontae Adams on a fly route. Brian Fitzgerald luckily got a hand up in there as Adams one-on-one coverage with Carson Nieheiser down the sideline, and Adams had a step, but Fitzgerald knocked the ball down at 2nd and 10.
Yeah, Avon's done a nice job tonight with their underneath coverage. We saw Pendleton earlier nearly have the pick, and Fitz right here. It looks like he's open. The receiver's open because he's inside the DB, but that underneath coverage has been in the throwing lanes.
So 2nd and 10 for Joel Smith. Here's a handoff and looking for any type of room whatsoever, not finding any as the tailback. We've seen 4 different tailbacks used by the Tigers tonight. And this time getting up is Trevor Newman. Newman will actually lose a yard on the play as he ran into that interior defensive line of the Orioles. And like Coach Shelbourne said, that's the teeth of the defense, and the Orioles shut it down.
Well, and especially now, they're up 21-3. They're going to get out of that balanced defensive stance and get into that sprinter stance and really attack it even harder than they did earlier in the game.
3rd and 11 for the Tigers. Smith back to pass out of the gun. Good protection. Lost it deep. Has a man open. Devontae Adams once again showing that sprinter speed. Penalty flag back at the 24-yard line. While the Tigers may not have that sprinter speed at the backfield, they definitely have it in Devontae Adams from the wide receiver position.
Yeah, well, a couple of the Avon DBs are back there talking. I think the corner thought he was getting some help over the top.
Offensive pass interference on that play. It will be declined, and 4th down coming up for the Tigers. And once again, Taylor Soper on to punt.
Maybe that's how he got so wide open.
Well, Devontae Adams definitely has some speed. We've watched it on 2 fly routes on almost back-to-back plays. But definitely he had more than a few steps on Nathan Conley over on that far sideline, and the penalty will go against Fishers. And once again, Taylor Soper, who, like I said, had 11 punts last week, boy, he gets a high one. It turns over, and Shayatovich will make the fair catch at the 35-yard line. An excellent punt by Taylor Soper. That was a high spiraling kick, and Shayatovich showing why he's back there on punts. He had to kind of turn his back to the coverage and catch that ball over his shoulder. Made it look easy, but the Orioles will now have it 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line, up 21-3.
Yeah, Fishers needs to be careful here not to let this game get totally out of hand. I mean, they're already up 21-3, and they've scored pretty easily the last couple of times they've had the ball. It's really imperative for Fishers to try to sit it down. It would be great for Avon to put up another touchdown before the half.
Samson James is the tailback, a 3-wide look. Meisner back to pass, steps up in the pocket, pressure comes, he lost it, he's looking for Guerrendo, and Guerrendo has it to the 20, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown Avon. 65 yards from Cameron Meisner to Isaac Guerrendo in his week 6. They've pretty much been doing that same play for 5 weeks. This week, it pays dividends. 65 yards, touchdown Avon.
Well, lots of people to compliment there. Obviously, Cameron Meisner put that ball on the money about 50 yards down the field. But give credit to that offensive line again for giving him the time to do that. And, hats off to Coach Eric Moore and Coach Bless for having the confidence to make that call. And, really, in the business, that's what we call the kill shot. And that's exactly what they went for. 21-3 at halftime would be a nice place to be. 28-3, really, what it does is it's kind of like that, spinning leg kick you see in UFC where you just really, put that knockout punch away and try to knock the other team out. And if Fishers isn't careful here, that's what it's done. I mean, Avon has really looked good here tonight. Whatever struggles they've had the last couple of weeks, they've certainly put them behind them. They must have had a great week of practice. Coach Bless and his staff have done a great job in preparing their team to come out here tonight because they really, really have looked impressive in every phase of the game. Offensively, they've run the ball well. The offensive line has controlled things up front a little bit better than when we saw them a couple of weeks ago. Defensively, they're getting after it big time, and they're playing with a little excitement, a little enthusiasm tonight, and it's showing up on the scoreboard as well.
And we're seeing a lot of the timing issues, especially in the passing game, that in previous weeks seem to have been just a little off. Coach Bless mentioned that in his coach's show earlier this week, that Meisner has had some good throws at times that just weren't hauled in or just a little bit off. Tonight, Cameron's throwing the ball very well. He's getting some excellent help from his wide receivers. And the wide receivers, as Coach Shelbourne mentioned, also helping blocking as well. They've sprung some big runs. As Potts is going to take this at the 5, fumbles it, but it bounces right back in his arms. That gives him a little bit of a hole. He'll get out past the 30 and to the 35. Very fortunate for R.J. Potts that little oblong football bounced right back into his hands, and he was able to get a nice return off of what looked to be almost a disastrous play.
Yeah, might have helped the timing a little bit. He made a nice run after bobbling the ball, and credit to Fisher's blockers for assisting, because they're almost out to the 40-yard line. But they've got major problems here. They're 3.5 scores down to an Avon team that's playing lights out here tonight. And again, I mentioned earlier when they were down 21-3, they needed to score 28-3. It's really imperative if they're going to stay in the game to get on the board.
Here's a blitz, but they're able to get past the blitz, and the ball carrier will take it past the 40 to about the 43-yard line. I believe that's Trevor Newman once again. They brought Fitzgerald on just a straight blitz. He got into the backfield, but Newman managed to slip past, pick up about 6 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 4.
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing I do, I really appreciate and admire and respect about Coach Bombay is, he's going for the throat. We're up 28-3. He's not going to sit back and then let them nickel and dime. I mean, they're still in their defensive philosophy, and they're still getting after it.
Clock goes under 4 minutes left to play in the first half. Rollout pass, and it is too high, wide open, and in the out to make the play was for the Fishers Tigers, Bryce Gee, and he was wide open on a nice little rollout to the right, but the pass was high, couldn't make the catch, and it's 3rd and 4. So a big 3rd down for the Tigers, as they are bringing a player on late.
Well, Avon's defense is getting after it. I mean, we might be able to count up, but I bet we haven't given up 2-3 first downs here the entire half.
So 3rd down and 4. Smith under center. He'll drop back to pass. He looks, good coverage. He will fire, and passes incomplete. He once again was looking for Gee. Gee thought, I think, that the pass was meant to go a little farther downfield, looking for Angelo Howells, and he did a little alligator arm on it, and now it's going to be 4th down.
Well, Avon's defense did again what they had to do. It's 3 and out. We'll get the ball back, and I'm not too sure that we won't see Avon putting that ball up again and seeing if they can get one more up here before half.
Taylor Soper with an excellent punt his last time. It'll be Shayatovich back as a single safety to field this punt. They'll leave Fitzgerald up. As Soper will get this one in again, another high, beautiful spiral. This one, Shayatovich is going to let bounce, and it's going to take a bit of a Fisher's bounce, as it won't bounce into the end zone. It backs up a little bit, but the Orioles will have their worst field position of the night as they'll start this drive from their own 12-yard line. 3:38 left to go in the first half, and the Orioles up big 28-3 over the Tigers here in the first half.
Yeah, well, I mentioned those special skills a little bit with Fitz earlier, but boy, that kid's got a big-time leg. I mean, I'm not sure, I haven't done my homework enough to know whether he's committed or signed anywhere yet, but there's no doubt in my mind he's got a Division I leg.
So 1st and 10 for Meisner and the Orioles. They're up 28-3. As they give it to Sampson. James right up the middle to the 20, to the 30, and he's going to pick up a gain of about 18 yards on 1st down. And much like the last drive in which Fitzgerald, he had a big run of 22 yards to start the drive. Sampson with 18 to start this one.
Well, the offensive line is revitalized. Coach Johnson does a nice job with his kids. He's got 3 new ones in there, and the experienced guys were freshmen last year, so it's taking a little time to gel, but boy, they're hitting on all cylinders out here tonight.
3 wide outs to the near side. James the tailback, Meisner out of the gun. He'll give it to Sampson. Sampson looks for some room, and he's going to be brought down from behind on a very, very nice play. Coming in to make the tackle for the Tigers, I believe, coming in from the defensive end position, that was Bryce Gee once again. and he made a nice run on Sampson. Sampson was trying to get that one turned up. He chased him down for no gain, 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and he's got good speed, so that's a great play by him, chasing Sampson down from behind.
Fitzgerald will now come in as the tailback on this 2nd and 10. 3 wideouts to the far side of the field. Corey DePriest is a lone wideout near side. They will back off the coverage. Meisner steps up. Good pass. Throwing downfield. There's Fitzgerald wide open. He makes a cut at the 30 to the 25 to the 20. And right now, that was a big, big mistake by Davante Adams. He stopped covering Fitzgerald, not sure whether he thought that Meisner was going to run or what he was going to do, but he let Fitzgerald get behind him. It was a wide open pass, and Fitzgerald takes it inside the 20 to the 19.
Well, that was great composure by Meisner. His initial receiver wasn't open. He didn't panic. He looked for a secondary receiver. He found Fitz, and he had time because the offensive line did so well to find him.
Fitz will take it up the middle, no room there, makes a cut to the right side and turns no gain into at least a gain of 3. The hole was supposed to be right up the middle. Good job by Fishers, but Fitzgerald, very patient, found some room on the right side and ends up with a 3-yard gain when there was nothing there to begin with. He will head over to the sideline as Samson James will now enter the contest. Garendo and Shayatovich to the far side of the formation of the wideouts for Avon, with Shayatovich working the slot. DePriest off to the right. Samson James to the left. As once again, we watch Fishers for the second time. Meisner's cadence. And if he learned anything behind Brandon Peters for a couple of years, he's putting it to good use tonight.
He is, I've seen most of the games. This is by far his best game. He looks relaxed. He looks confident. He's throwing the ball. He's showed great plays here under pressure, and he's really made some big plays for the Avon offense tonight.
That'll make it 2nd and 2 with James remaining in at tailback. 1:13 and counting in the first half. They'll throw the fade. This is DePriest in the end zone. Incomplete. They tried to throw that little fade in the corner over to Corey DePriest, and good coverage there by Fishers to break up the pass, trying to see who the Fishers defender was. Well, that was Davante Adams that had the coverage.
That's a tough route, and it's very difficult to defend on there. Quite honestly, you usually try to run that to a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver and let him play jump ball. Corey tried to create space by his speed. He's not very tall. I think he's listed maybe at 5'6". He's certainly a quality athlete. We watched him excel last year as a running back, and he's a outstanding enough athlete to make the change out to wide receiver this year. But he is not a tall receiver. Fade route is tough for him, but he did get that little jump off the line of scrimmage and nearly was open for the touchdown.
Tigers take the first of their 3 timeouts. 1:07 left to go in this first half. Avon 28-3. And again, you talk about kicking on all cylinders, all phases of the game for Avon in this first half. Offense, defense, even special teams have done a very, very good job tonight. Tigers have only had 1 drive of note. It took over 5 minutes and 30 seconds off the clock, and they only could get a 29-yard Ben Norton field goal as a result. Since then, they have been shut down. 3rd and 2 as Meisner looks over the defense. He'll keep it himself, and he will be brought down. Little play where they would fake the handoff to Fitzgerald, but Seth Sontich, the weak side linebacker, a 5'10", 180-pound junior, he kept his eyes on Meisner the entire way, and he brings Meisner down for a loss back to the 15-yard line. That'll bring up 4th down, and Justin Heidorn is going to attempt a field goal as the Orioles will let this clock wind down. There's a difference of about 18 seconds between the play clock and the game clock, and I'm sure they will let this play clock roll down all the way to 0 or 1 second, call the timeout.
Good clock management that the media in town here doesn't think other teams in the area are able to do. I think Avon is doing a very, very nice job of it here right before the half.
And they do call the timeout with 20.8 seconds remaining. And as Coach Shelbourne made, we've got a couple of teams with some good kickers on both squads. Justin Hydorn has proven himself to be a very, very good place kicker, and we've already seen Ben Norton. He hit a 29-yard field goal. He's been consistently kicking deep, and Taylor Soper, the punter for the Tigers, he's gotten off some booming kicks. So right now, Justin Hydorn will be attempting a 32-yard field goal.
Runs in the family. His brother was an outstanding kicker for me and had a great career at Indiana State.
Left-footed kicker puts a foot into it. The kick is up, and the kick is good. 32-yard field goal by Justin Hydorn. Plenty of leg. Add 3 more points to the scoreboard, and we'll have 17.3 seconds remaining in this half. And Avon well out in front, 31-3 over the Fishers Tigers, alongside the Indiana Football Hall of Famer Dave Shelbourne. I'm Brian Scott, and after 2 weeks of some pretty gut-wrenching losses, the loss against Brownsburg was tough because after Brownsburg jumped out to a big first-half lead, Avon's defense played very well in that second half and got it to a point where they had a chance to win that game late. And, of course, they led most of the way last week against Whiteland, only to lose in the final couple of seconds. And now they've come out on homecoming night back to Hendricks Regional Health Stadium, very full of determination and intensity. And the scoreboard shows it was 17.3 seconds left to go in the first half.
Well, they're doing it all right. They're throwing and running. The offensive line is dominating. Defensively, they're putting pressure on Fishers or breaking to the ball. The kicking game has been solid. I mean, whatever they did in practice all week, it's certainly looking good out here tonight. Best half of football Avon's played all year.
This ball will be taken at the 10 to the 15, and R.J. Potts will. Or actually, that is not R.J. Potts. That is, I believe, H.L. Lewis, the ball carrier on that kickoff return. And the Tigers will have it 1st and 10 at their own 29-yard line, but only 11.3 seconds remain on the clock. Orioles will receive the opening kickoff in the second half. So as they gather around acting head coach Mike Kelly, also the offensive coordinator, we'll see what they elect to do here. The Tigers with 2 timeouts remaining, but again, only 11.3 seconds. They do have in place kicker Ben Norton, one of the best kickers, but they're going to line up in an I backfield, and they're simply going to let Smith take a knee, and that's going to be the end of the first half. An impressive first half of play by the Avon Orioles. They put 31 points on the board. They do it through the air, they do it on the ground, and they go off to the locker room to a standing ovation from this very appreciative Avon Oriole crowd. We'll be back in just a few minutes with a look at what's happening in the HCC and some halftime thoughts. This is Avon Oriole football on AudioSportsOnline.com. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com. McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900. Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Red. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at redcobrawrestlingacademy.com. Avon Dental Center is a proud sponsor of Avon High School sports broadcast. Dr. Timothy Greer and Dr. Christopher Lefebvre have served Hendricks County families for over 20 years. Located in Avon's Beechwood Center area just east of Ivy Tech, they're open Monday through Friday, although early morning hours are available. Avon Dental Center offers high-tech dentistry that includes dental implants, orthodontics, and one-appointment crowns. At Avon Dental Center, their priority is to deliver quality care to informed patients in a comfortable and convenient setting. You can get more information at avondentalcenter.com or call for an appointment at 272-8100. Avon Dental Center has made and donated custom mouth guards to Avon High School athletes every year for the last 15 years. Parents can contact our office if interested in one for their high school athlete. The athletes love them. Halftime at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. The Avon Orioles lead the Fishers Tigers by the score of 31-3. I'm Brian Scott. It's the halftime report. Let's take a look at what's happening in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference this week. Games of last week. One of the big games, of course, was in Fishers last week. The Brownsburg Bulldogs, they remain perfect on the season. They are now 5-0 under John Hart with a 14-10 win over the Tigers. 5-0 overall, 2-0 in the HCC. Hamilton Southeastern, they bounced back and won, or they got that second win of the season, I should say, in the conference against Westfield last week, 21-20. The Royals are now 2-1 in the HCC, 4-1 overall. The only loss the Southeastern Royals have had this year are against the Avon Orioles. The Westfield Shamrocks lost. That dropped them to 2-1 in the conference, and it was their first loss of the season. Of course, the Shamrocks are the Orioles' next opponent next week. That's our first look at that beautiful new Westfield facility, and we'll have that game for you here on Audio Sports Online next week. Noblesville, they knocked off Zionsville last week by the score of 45-24. Noblesville 2-3 on the season, but they are 2-1 in the HCC. For Zionsville, that dropped into 3-2 on the season, but they're 0-2 in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. And of course, Avon had the non-conference game last week. They lost to Whiteland 22-21 to drop Avon to 2-3 on the season. The Orioles entered play this week 1-1 in the HCC. Games this week, of course, the Tigers are here taking on the Orioles, trailing 31-3 at the half. Hamilton Heights is at Noblesville. Westfield is at Brownsburg. That's a big game tonight. Those are two of the teams that might be battling at the end of the season for an HCC crown. Westfield has one loss. If they want to have any hopes, they need to knock off Brownsburg tonight. Zionsville is at Hamilton Southeastern. And next week, as I mentioned, the Orioles will be at Westfield. Brownsburg will be at Zionsville. Hamilton Southeastern will be at Noblesville. And Fishers will host Cathedral. So some big games still coming up in the HCC. We are now in week 6. Not a whole lot of games left to play here in this football season. I bring in the Indiana Football Hall of Famer, Dave Shelbourne. Is it a little different this year now that in the past few years since the start of Class 6A, this year it was announced that rather than having that bye right before the championship game, all the schools in 6A were going to get a 1-week bye at the beginning of the playoffs.
Well, I mean, it will be. I think the coaches will kind of welcome it because, playing against top-level 6A football every week is physically demanding as well as mentally demanding, so we'll give them a week to kind of get healthy, maybe change the routine a little bit, work on some conditioning. Obviously, it gives you probably too much time to study your opponent, look at film, that type of thing, but I think it's kind of welcomed. It also happens to come at a time for a number of schools when you're on fall break. So, that break, I think, somebody asked me how I like the new schedule. And after I retired as a head football coach, I told them it was terrific. But, if you're the head football coach or you're a member of, the football program, you're playing your 8th and 9th, your 8th and 9th games in your first game of your playoffs normally during that time period. And, your schedule's off a little bit, and it's just not the same routine you run during the season. But, our sectional is a tough one. Pike's having a little bit of a down year. Ben Davis is very strong, as we saw when we played them in the second week. And Brownsburg is having a real nice season right now. So you've got at least 3 really strong teams. And Pike, has enough talent that on any given night, they could give anybody fits. So it's, the tournament. And, when you get to 6A, when you had 64 teams, you could always hope for a good draw. You might get somebody that, you didn't necessarily have to play your best against, but you knew that you were going to advance to that second week. And, if there were 3 or 4 good teams in the sectional, you could kind of cross your fingers and hope that, those 3 strong teams might be in the other bracket, and maybe you would be, slated against some teams that you didn't necessarily have to play your best against, but that's not the case anymore.
Avon's going to, after tonight's game, have 3 games remaining, 2 of them on the road. Of course, we will be at Westfield next week, and that is a program that has, if you want to take a look at any school in the state of Indiana that benefited from the 5A, 6A split, you really only need to look at the Shamrocks, because since that split, there has really been they've been one of the top teams in Class 5A.
Well, Jake Gilbert is an outstanding coach. He's got a good staff up there. My buddy Rob Patchett's on the staff. I coached with him years ago, and he's an outstanding line coach. And Jake has just done a good job, developing a program, good feeder system, getting things started. He's still recognized, even though he's been around a little bit and been a head coach for a number of years. He had a good background playing at Ben Davis and coaching and playing at Wabash College for a number of years. So he's done a great job turning that program around. And, the one thing that I always admired when I was coaching in the HCC, and it hasn't changed any, although the coaches have gotten younger, but the coaching in our conference is really good. And I think all of the coaches in our conference, not only do they know the X's and O's of football very well, but the good people, they handle people very well. They have a good program. They have a great feeder system. They're good role models in the school. They're good teachers. And, the schools in our conference have been smart enough to bring in organizational kind of guys that know football, but really guys that know how to motivate people and know how to do the right things in the community to make the school and the community proud of the football program.
And that Shamrock program, of course, just a couple of years removed from playing for the possibility of a state title. They ended up a runner-up that year. Now a brand-new football facility, a very, very nice, very modern football facility there at Westfield. No longer grass, and now every team in the HCC is playing on turf.
Well, I remember the first year we went up there, and I was afraid to get in the press box. As a head coach, I was always out on the field, and the assistants, that we sent up there to do the voice down to us on the field, used to talk about it all the time, and I just kind of ignored them. And that first year we went up in the old press box, and I understood a little bit better what they were saying. But yes, the facilities have improved. The program has improved. I think all of the programs, Coach Echeverria up at Zionsville has done a nice job. Jason Simmons is a class act up in Noblesville. Obviously Southeastern and Fishers have always been strong. And with Coach Hart following up on the program that Brett Comer had going up at Brownsburg, and taking them a step up here this season. The conference is strong, and you say top to bottom, but the bottom team in the conference is still pretty darn good. And Zionsville proved that last year. They had a losing record going into the tournament and ended up winning the sectional. So, any given week in our conference, you're going to be well coached, you're going to play hard, and you're going to do it the right way.
And the Orioles, as I mentioned, 3 more games after tonight, and they've been very, very impressive. They'll be at Westfield next week. They'll finish up at home the week after when they take on Zionsville, and then they will be on the road to wrap up the season at Noblesville. The Mill is taking on the Millers on the road is never an easy proposition, no matter what type of football team the Millers have had in the past. They always play very well at home. And Zionsville, under Coach Pat Echeverria, he's been doing very, very good up there. And this year, as Coach mentioned, the HCC, it is tough top to bottom in a 2-3 team this week, and teams like Avon and Fishers, also seeing Noblesville at 2-3. You look at Noblesville at 2-3 on the season, but they're 2-1 in the HCC. These are very, very tough teams, and the Orioles will have a lot of work to do before they head into that bye week and then get ready for sectionals. We are waiting for the teams to return to the field. It has been an absolutely gorgeous night for football. First full week of fall here first full day, I should say, of fall here in the state of Indiana. And we've had temperatures at kickoff around 84 degrees. It's currently still about 80 degrees, a very light wind, no rain in sight. And compared to some of the nights we've had here over the past few weeks here in central Indiana for high school football, no threats of lightning or any of the other nasty stuff. So a good night for football so far. The Avon Orioles fans, they have been enjoying the heck out of it. It is homecoming here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium and at Avon High School. And right now, the Orioles lead by the score of 31-3. When we come back, hopefully we'll be ready for some second half action between the Avon Orioles and the Fishers Tigers. This is Avon Oriole Football on Audio Sports Online. Avon Dental Center is a proud sponsor of Avon High School sports broadcast. Dr. Timothy Greer and Dr. Christopher Lefebvre have served Hendricks County families for over 20 years. Located at Avon's Beechwood Center area just east of Ivy Tech, they're open Monday through Friday, although early morning hours are available. Avon Dental Center has made and donated custom mouth guards to Avon High School athletes every year for the last 15 years. For more information on how parents can get a mouth guard for their high school athlete or for any dental questions, go to avondentalcenter.com or call for an appointment at 272-8100. Avon has a rich wrestling tradition, and now Red Cobra Wrestling is proud to be a part of it. Opening last November, Red Cobra Wrestling offers training sessions run by nationally known coach Chad Red. Red Cobra Wrestling is located at 9233 East Highway 36 in Avon, across the street from Walmart and behind sidelines in the Red Brick Building. Red Cobra Wrestling offers sessions for all ages, including 3rd grade and under and 4th grade and up. Learn more about prices, class schedules, and information at RedCobraWrestlingAcademy.com. McNamara Florist is Indy's hometown florist since 1954, with 8 convenient locations, including the new Avon store on Rockville Road. McNamara Florist is famous for our floral designs for all occasions that help our clients express their emotions through flowers. Visit McNamara Florist for outstanding personal service and to select from the renowned home decor merchandising, including stunning Christmas classics. McNamara Florist is located at 9655 East Highway 36 in Avon, and you can give them a call at 579-7900. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com. Back at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium, as both teams have made it back out onto the field, we're getting ready for second half action as the Avon Orioles lead the Fishers Tigers by the score of 31-3 at the half, alongside Dave Shelbourne. I'm Brian Scott. Avon, well, they've done it from pretty much all phases of the game, offense, defense, special teams. They held the Tigers to pretty much a first series that ended up with a punt, and Avon immediately went down the field, scored on a Samson James 3-yard touchdown run. That's how the game started for Avon. It was Fishers able to finish out the first quarter and early into the second quarter on a long drive, but they had to settle for a 29-year-old Ben Norton field goal. That's been the only bright spot in the Tigers' offense all night long. Since then, the Avon defense has just pretty much shut them down. And meanwhile, the Avon offense, they're doing it running the ball, they're doing it passing the ball. Touchdown runs of 8 yards by Samson James, a 16-yard Brian Fitzgerald touchdown run, a 65-yard touchdown pass from Cameron Meisner to Isaac Garendo, and then a 32-yard field goal from Justin Hydorn. That has been the scoring for the Orioles. And, Coach, we talked about coming back after a couple of losses, and it's quite obvious that Coach Mark Bless's squad looks like they've had a very good week of practice. They're crisp on both sides of the ball, a lot of intensity, and a lot of focus tonight.
Oh, they put together their best half of the season by far. I mean, they've come out with a little energy. They've thrown the ball. They've run the ball. The offensive line has clicked. Defensively, they've been very aggressive. Really almost came close to having 2 pick sixes that just got dropped. The kicking game has been solid, but I just like the attitude. They're playing with a little intensity. They're playing like they love football. They just have done everything that they're supposed to do. So, from a coaching point of view, I'm sure it was a nice, pleasant halftime down there. They probably didn't have very, very many things to fix. It was a matter of, saying continue to do what you've been doing, and hopefully they'll come out here in the third quarter and, continue with the same kind of intensity and execution they had the first half.
The Orioles will receive the second half kickoff. The bright spot for the Tigers has been their kicking game. Both Ben Norton and Taylor Soper have been very good. Of course, Norton with a 29-yard field goal, and Soper has had some excellent kicks. It's just his defense hasn't been able to help him out with as he's flipped the field. But this kickoff is just going to be sailing into the end zone, and the Orioles will start the drive. Their first drive of the second half, 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line, and again, they lead 31-3 as we get underway in the second half. And, Coach, I imagine for Coach Mark Bless and the Orioles, just keep on keeping on.
Well, they, like I said, they want to keep doing what they're doing. They may, and again, it's tough to tell, but they may take their foot off the throttle here a little bit. When you get ahead like this, you want to fight that complacency. I'm sure there's some plays they want to take a look at, and, in a game like this, and I don't want to jinx anybody, but you want to make sure you come out injury-free so you can move on for the next couple of weeks. And
Meisner, well, if they're going to take their foot off the gas, a 13-yard pass from Meisner to over on the side. Chad Carmichael will be a quick strike for the first play of the second half.
They found something in the scouting report they like, because they started the game with 5 or 6 passes in the first 6 or 7 plays, and they're coming right out here again in the second half and continuing to throw the ball. And Meisner's been on the money all night.
And they will have
somebody moved.
Orioles came out in a 4-wide look, 3 to the near side. Brian Fitzgerald is the tailback, and we'll have a procedure penalty called against Avon. Avon, for the most part, has stayed away from a whole lot of penalties in this contest. Meanwhile, Fishers has had a couple of big penalties, one that extended a drive for the Orioles in the first half. But that penalty will back up Avon 5 yards. It'll back them up to their own 29-yard line, and they'll bring Shayatovich and Carmichael to the near side. And once again, officials will stop the play. And I think Coach Mark Bless was saying that's the longest 5 yards he'd ever seen, because they actually marked it 7.
You're not saying they made an error, are you?
Now they've got it straight, and then it will be 1st and 15 from the 31-yard line. 4 wideouts, 2 to each side. Fitzgerald is the tailback. As Meisner looks over the defense, he will fire. He'll get popped. And he was looking for Chad Carmichael near side, but pressure came right up the middle, and he had to get rid of that ball in a hurry. And it'll bring up 2nd down and 15.
Yeah, I don't know if that was an option route, where the receiver was supposed to read the coverage and go, run a certain route or not, but it was certainly a miscommunication, because Meisner was expecting him to turn outside, and the receiver ran a little in route.
It is DePriest, Shayatovich, and Garendo to the near side, Carmichael to the far side. Fitzgerald is the tailback on 2nd and 15. He'll get the carry, and he will elude one tackle. He will get to the outside. He will turn it up. He will fight. He will continue fighting. And it finally takes about 8 Tigers to bring him down, but not after Fitzgerald picks up about 10, maybe 11 yards on the play to make it a third down and very manageable, about 3 yards at the 43-yard line.
I tell you what, he's one of those kids. He's just fun to watch. Even on a on a 4 or 5 yard gain, he makes it exciting and he makes it interesting. And he's just always that that one or two steps away from taking it downtown.
3rd down and 3. This is the opening drive of the second half. Avon with a 31-3 lead. Fitzgerald the lone tailback. And once again, penalty flags, and once again, Fishers for.
No, I don't think so. I think that's going to be on Avon. Fishers didn't. They jumped, but
Nope, they called procedure against Avon.
No, they didn't. They called offsides on. Okay, well, I mean that's what I saw. The wide receiver from Avon jumped. Fisher's defensive lineman jumped, but they didn't break the line of scrimmage. So the official just walked it the wrong way here to start.
So what was 3rd and manageable now is 3rd and long. They're 3rd and 8 for Avon at their own 38-yard line. They need to get to the 46 for a first down. 4 wideouts to each side of the formation. Fitzgerald stays in at tailback on this 3rd and 8. And Meisner is back to pass. Good protection. Fires over the middle. He has Shayatovich. Shayatovich is popped immediately, but he picks up 10 yards on an Avon first down up to the 48-yard line.
And again, I mean, he was wide open. The line protected well, but that ball had a lot of zip on it. Hit him on the turn. Meisner is really throwing the heck out of the football tonight.
So a big first down conversion on 3rd down gives the Orioles a fresh set of downs at their own 48-yard line. This is the opening drive of the first half, and the clock is already reading 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Here's Fitzgerald, looks one way, cuts it back the other way. Inside Tiger territory, inside the 45, and down near the first down marker at the 42-yard line.
I'm not sure that's the way that play is drawn up in the playbook, but he sure made it work. It looked like it was supposed to be inside zone to the right. He saw that probably wasn't the place to go, cut it all the way back. Outside on the left, and made a nice run. Maybe it was a design play, but he sure made it work.
It is enough for a first down. 10 yards for Bryant Fitzgerald, and the Orioles are now in Tiger territory at the 42-yard line, 1st and 10. 3 wide outs. Meisner back to pass. Good protection. Pulls it down, fires over the middle, incomplete. Looking for Shayatovich, who was cutting across the 30-yard line. Good protection. Meisner had time to look for his receivers. Good coverage in the secondary before the pressure finally forced Meisner to get rid of the ball, and he still almost made a completion out of that.
Yeah, nearly made something out of nothing. The receiver he thought would be open wasn't, had to go to a secondary receiver. Fortunately, the line gave him plenty of time, but that receiver wasn't open either.
2nd down and 10, 3 wideouts. That is Corey DePriest, the lone wideout near side, but he gives to Fitzgerald. He's going to look in the middle of the line, breaks it free, comes out to the near side, and Fitzgerald will have the first down. Still going, breaking tackles all the way down to the 18-yard line.
Well, that was all Fitzgerald. It's not that the line didn't block okay, but he made the majority of that happen all on his own. I mean, he is that special back. There's no doubt in my mind he's a Division I football player, and after watching that run, I think everybody in the stands here will agree with me.
Well, again, it looked like it was going to be an inside handoff, bounced it outside, and this time he just drugged Tigers, stepping out of tackles, and the Orioles have it 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line of Fishers, as they are now down to 8:12 left to go, 3rd quarter. Blitz comes, Meisner back, he throws it up, looking for somebody. Shayatovich almost made a great catch, but once again, that ball thrown way up in the air. A couple of Tigers were back, and Shayatovich still was almost the only player to come down with that football, but it falls incomplete.
Yeah,
2nd and 10.
Little bit of communications snafu there. They didn't get the right personnel in. Avon ended up in a 2-back offense that they're very seldom, almost never in, and it looked like they just had a little bit of confusion I'm not sure if they have all their regulars in there or not, but, the timing was a little off, and it hasn't been all night.
Samson James now the tailback for the Orioles on this 2nd and 10. Back to pass is Meisner, plenty of protection. They set up the screen. James has it, and a beautiful defensive play because reading it all the way and coming in to make the tackle was Emmanuel Davis, the weak side linebacker. He just read it all the way, and as soon as James came down with the football, Davis dropped him for no gain.
Yeah, that's a little slip screen. They just tried to hide him behind the offensive line and sneak him out behind them. He got a little bit ahead of his blockers that time. He actually caught the ball in front of his blockers, and that's the thing that kind of left them exposed for them to come up and make the tackle.
3rd down and 10 for Avon as this ball remains at the 16-yard line. 3 wide receivers, 2 to the far side, 1 near side for Meisner. Back to pass. Pressure comes backside. He throws it. He is looking in the end zone. Pass is incomplete. He was looking for Luke Shayadovich, who was running a bit of a skinny post route. Pressure came, and that's going to bring Justin Hydorn out to attempt what looks to be about a 33-yard field goal.
Yeah, a little bit more pressure that time applied than what he's seen all night. Forced him to throw the ball a little bit early, and that was part of the reason for the overthrow.
Hydorn is already connected from 32 yards out, puts a left foot, it's blocked. It is picked up by Fishers, but that time coming in, making the play, and recovering the football, I believe, was Jake Winkle for the Fishers Tigers. So Hydorn's field goal is blocked at a drive that takes over 5 minutes and 40 seconds off the clock, results in no points, but the Orioles still have a 31-3 lead, and now the Tigers will take over 1st and 10 from their own 26-yard line. Again, trailing 31-3.
Well, probably the first error. I mean, as a coaching staff, this will sound funny, probably almost happy because it gives them something to work on in practice this week.
There's the give. I believe this is Trevor Newman. He finds some room around the left side, and Newman is going to get a nice gain, almost a gain of 10 yards, maybe enough for a first down. And in the first opening drive of the game for the Tigers, they had a couple of nice successful runs just like that. Newman finding some room around the ends for some good gains before that drive stalled out. And they get 10 yards on first down on their first drive of the second half, and they'll now look at a 4-wide look with Joel Smith working out of the gun. Newman, the tailback. Smith takes it, fires in and out of the hands, and once again, looked like he was looking for Bryce Gee, and that's about the 3rd time Gee's had a pass in his direction just go right through his hands. It'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Yeah, well, he was actually what's called an uncovered receiver. I mean, Avon blitzed and chose not to cover him, and hoping they'd put enough pressure on him to have, the incompletion happen just like it did, but he had no one on him. I mean, that should have been just an easy pitch and catch for Fishers.
2nd and 10. This time they'll bring a man in motion from the H-back, and that's offset eye to the right. And the handoff is given, and right up the middle, this is Newman, and Newman is going to dive forward, and I believe he's going to pick up about 8 on the play. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 2.
Well, this is a clock game right now. I mean, Fishers, and unless they really get lucky here and, block a couple kicks, pick off some passes, it's kind of pride time. Let's see if we can get the offense rolling here a little bit and shut Avon down on offense a couple of more times. But right now they're fighting the clock here a little bit, because if they don't get a couple of scores here right now, then it's just kind of pride time.
It is not Joel Smith at quarterback. This is John Vore. He is a sophomore, and he started this drive. So starting quarterback Joel Smith did not start the second half. Instead, they bring on sophomore John Vore, who is not even listed as their second-team quarterback. It was Matt Wolf who was listed as their second-teamer. But John Vore, who is a sophomore, is now in at quarterback. They get the first down. It's 1st and 10 for the Tigers at the 48-yard line. So John Vore in for Joel Smith. And he'll take the snap. He'll fire left side, in and out of the hands. Over here to the side to Colin Stats. But not sure if this is just a change of quarterbacks here to begin the second half. Try to shake some things up.
31-3.
But again, it is the sophomore, a 6 foot, 174-pound sophomore quarterback, John Vore, at the helm of the Tigers to begin this second half, and he has 2nd and 10 from their own 48-yard line. He has a 4 wide out look. He'll take the snap. He'll fake the handoff. Oh, no, he'll hand it off. This is Newman. Newman will take it left side, and he will pick up the first down. So a couple of nice runs, a couple of nice completion, or a couple of nice runs to bring it into Oriole territory. And the Tigers are moving here to begin the second half. They'll have it 1st and 10 at the Oriole 39.
Yeah, well, you know, they're just trying to establish a little bit of consistency here, and you know, see if they can get a couple of things back on the board. I'm not sure how many other new people they have in there, but you know, you had mentioned earlier they've been struggling for an offensive identity, and they're probably looking to see if they can find one.
Vore under center. He will hand it off. This is Newman looking for some room. Right side, stretches it out before he'll pick up about 3 yards on the play before he is going to be brought down. I believe Nathan Conley brought him down after a 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7 coming up for the Tigers as the ball will be spotted at the Oriole 36-yard line.
Yeah, at this point in the game with the score being what it is, I'm sure they'd never say it out loud, but Coach Bless and his staff are just watching that clock. They want it to run out again. I mentioned earlier, you know, you want to stay healthy. Fourth quarter, you may see some of those backup kids kind of get in there as a little bit of a reward, but you know, this is a game that Avon has totally dominated up until this point, and
penalty flags on the play. That's going to be procedure against the Tigers.
It's not over yet, but you know, it's getting close to that point.
4:15 remains in this third quarter. We remain with the same score we have to half, 31-3. Orioles had the opening drive of the second half, marched it down, but the drive stalled, and Justin Hydorn's 33-yard field goal was blocked. And now the Tigers have brought in sophomore quarterback John Vore in for Joel Smith, as they'll have a 3-wide look on 2nd down and 12. Vore back to pass. He fires, looking, has a man open, but overthrows his intended receiver. Man wide open here on the his intended receiver was Nathan Humphrey, as we are starting to see maybe some new faces in here for the Tigers. Again, Mike Kelly, the acting head coach for this game, but he is the offensive coordinator. And, Coach, I'm sure whether Coach Rick Wimmer was there or not, that might be something that they were going to do anyway if situations didn't resolve themselves.
Well, you know, they went with the starters the first half and didn't produce a touchdown, and I haven't followed it, but, you know, I heard you mention that they've been struggling a little bit on offense, so they're probably still trying to find some playmakers.
And Vore's pass incomplete. He was looking for Michael Johnson, who had broken it off into the middle of the field, and that didn't look like all that bad of a pass. Johnson might have been looking at some, hearing a few footsteps as the Avon defenders were quickly closing in. The pass falls incomplete. It'll be 4th down and 12, and this time Taylor Soper is going to punt this ball away from his own 45-yard line. Luke Shayatovich, he's been the single safety as Soper has been kicking some very good punts. And this is a high booming kick. And it's going to bounce, and it will find the end zone. And as Coach Shelbourne mentioned, that if people haven't heard of Taylor Soper, or at least some of the D1 scouts, they will soon be looking at the young man. He's a 6 foot, 180-pound senior, and he has an impressive leg. That's a high spiraling kick. Gave his coverage team a chance maybe to get down there on the goal line, but if all goes into the end zone, it'll be 1st and 10 Avon at the 20. 3 minutes, 37 seconds remain in this third quarter of play. Avon back on offense, leading 31-3. As Cameron Miser in the offense, they moved the ball but stalled it at about the 16-yard line, and the field goal was blocked. We'll see what they can do here on their second drive. It's a reverse. James to DePriest, and there is all sorts of daylight. To the 30, to the 40, to the 50, 45, and DePriest will run out of bounds. And, Coach, that's just one of those. You catch it right, and There's a lot of Fisher's Tigers.
I watched the DB from the other side of the field get run over by his own defenders, chasing him across the field. He had no idea where the football was at all. So good call by Coach Moore. Again, good first down play. That's one of those you want to show that a little bit to future opponents so they know it's in your playbook. And again, a good call for that position on the field.
Gain of 37 yards on the play, 1st and 10. Here's Samson James right into the middle of the line, but right there was a whole host of white-clad Tiger defenders to bring him down, and getting up and making the initial tackle was Michael Nettleton, the middle linebacker for Fishers. It's a loss of a yard on the play, and that'll bring up 2nd down in 11. Clock hitting the 3-minute mark, left to go in quarter number 3. Avon well out in front, 31-3. Homecoming night here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium, and the home faithful have had a lot to cheer about tonight. 4 wide receivers, double stack slot right. Samson James is the tailback. Meisner back to pass. Good protection. He's firing downfield, looking for Garendo once again, and it's broken up. Couple of Tiger defenders there, and knocking it away was Jalen Moss, a 6 foot, 178-pound senior free safety, to knock it away from Garendo. But once again, Meisner showing off a very good arm. It was about 40, 50 yards in the air.
Well, I like the call. I mean, I just always felt as a head coach, and I called the plays most of the time when I was a head coach, that you got to go for the home run 4 or 5 times a game just to kind of keep the defensive corners out of the running game. So I like the call. The throw wasn't bad. Their coverage was better. But, again, that throw down the field is, I think, is just good to let them know that you're not afraid to do that.
3rd down and 11 for Meisner in the offense as the officials checked some equipment and have restarted the play clock. Meisner back to pass. Again, protection. Now he steps up. Now he will be brought down as the protection breaks down. Once again, making the tackle was Michael Nettleton, the Mike linebacker, and that's going to force a punting situation as Mason Stemler is going to make his first appearance of the night. Orioles have not had to punt all night long, and this will be their first time sending Stemler out. Back deep for the Tigers will be Jalen Moss and R.J. Potts. And actually, they're going to send H.L. Lewis back there instead of Moss, so Lewis and Potts back deep, but standing about their own 15-yard line. Stemler, rugby-style kick. He got hit. Here comes the penalty flag. That ball's going to roll, and it's going to be down at the 1-yard line. No call. And this would be an interesting to say if they're going to put this down at the 1-yard line.
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's an interesting call. Your punter takes off running.
This was something I think I saw about 5 years ago at a sectional, and it was Brett Comer at Terre Haute North, and he had a very legitimate argument that I asked him about. He said, when you have a rugby-style kicker, how do you know that he's not running the ball?
Well, that's, safety of the players is paramount. But again, he took off running. How do you know if he's going to punt or not? I mean, when does he lose his protection? I mean, you don't want to get anybody hurt, but, if I'm on defense, it is tough to tell.
It was 4th down and 13, and that 15-yard penalty will give the Orioles a first down.
And I'm not really sure how much contact, if any, he really made.
Well, Stemler has been out there once, and that rugby-style kick draws the roughing the kicker penalty, and now the Orioles have new life, 1st and 10 at the Tiger 32. Here is Fitzgerald. Makes a run right side, now cuts it back left. This time not quite so fortunate. Might have even lost a yard from the gain. It's a gain of 2. It'll bring up 2nd and 8 as Fitzgerald runs to the right side and then thought he could get some room to the left, but actually lost a yard he had gained there. It'll bring up 2nd down and 8. And Fitzgerald will remain in the contest. 4 wide outs, a minute 8 left to go, third quarter. 31-3 is our score. That was the score at halftime. As play action pass, Meisner fires and off the fingertips of Luke Shayatovich. Luke will probably be slapping a thigh pad on that one because that was a well-led ball. Looked like he had it almost in stride, but just got off the fingertips. That'll bring up third down and 8. 57.8 seconds remain in the third quarter. We remain at 31-3, a fast-moving third quarter, a fast-moving football game here at Hendricks Regional Health. Carmichael.
I doubt that it's going real fast over on the Fisher side tonight. It's probably seems to be a little bit slower over there.
This time they split backs. Here's Fitzgerald, and he'll run left side, and he's going to have enough for the first down. This is the first time, I think, all season long we've seen the Orioles go to a split back look with both James and Fitzgerald flanking Cameron Meisner. And Fitzgerald picks up the first down to the Tiger 20-yard line as clock continues to move with 45 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Yeah, this may be something they want to take a look at, down the road and have ready for, for the tournament time. But you're right, it is a new wrinkle for the Avon offense.
Fitzgerald stays in at tailback, 3 wide outs to the near side, and Luke Shayatovich is in the slot right. Back to pass, Meisner. Plenty of time. Now protection breaks down. He's going to throw it away, and Cameron Moulton had fallen down. I think Fisher's looking or hoping for maybe an intentional grounding, but Meisner was able to get it away. No penalty flag on the play. That's going to bring up second and 10. 19.2 seconds remain in this third quarter. Moulton will check out to the sideline. Ball at the 20-yard line. Neither team able to score any points in the third quarter. Avon, though, has moved the football. A 33-yard Justin Hydorn field goal was blocked as they bring DePriest now to the far left side of the formation, short side of the field. Fitzgerald is the tailback. He'll get the football, find no room up the middle. Now he cuts through the middle to the 10, to the 5, and just like that, he's into the end zone for a touchdown from 20 yards out. That's just, that can't be coached. It can't be taught. He runs it in from 20 yards out, and it's a 37-3 lead.
Well, he's very talented, and, Fishers is unfortunately just kind of hanging on out there tonight, and, that just kind of sticks the dagger in there a little bit further.
Justin Hydorn on for the point after. He has been perfect in that department tonight. He has also hit a field goal from 32 yards out, and I mentioned the 33-yard field goal that was blocked. Left-footed kicker, Luke Shayatovich is the holder. Puts a foot into it, splits the uprights, and with 11.7 seconds remaining in this third quarter, Avon extends their lead to 38-3. We'll keep it here as we'll go to break between the quarters. Again, a couple of impressive drives for the Orioles, one to start the first half, and then that one that took about 3 minutes and 20 seconds to cover 80 yards. Of course, they had the big 23-yard reverse that kind of put Fishers on their heels, and then some nice runs by Brian Fitzgerald, and of course the big roughing the kicker penalty on the punt that extended the drive for Avon. That helped Avon put 7 points on the scoreboard, and still have 11.7 seconds remaining in this third quarter as Hydorn will tee this ball up, and back deep for the Tigers will be H.L. Lewis and R.J. Potts. A very rough night for these Tigers.
Well, they've been dealing with quite a few things out there, so, this doesn't help. But what you just have to do as much as you can after a game like this is kind of put it behind you and move forward and, get yourself ready for your next 3 games and for the tournament. What happens out here tonight, you learn from it. This is one of those games that I'm not even sure whether they'll show this to their team, tomorrow morning or not, because I'm not sure how much they can really learn from this to move on. But, they'll reestablish themselves and figure out what they can do well and what they need to improve on, and they'll get ready for next week's opponent.
That kick by Justin Hydorn sailed and took one of those funny right turns right at the 1 yard line, went out of bounds. So the Tigers are going to start this drive on the penalty for the kickoff out of bounds, 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line. I believe John Vore still out there as he began this second half for the Tigers. Play action has a little hitch route out to the far right side, and they pick up a good 5-6 yards on that first down play.
Yeah, they're just trying to run their offense. It's not, they're not panicking. They're not trying to home run it. At this point, I think they pretty well know that their chances of winning this game tonight aren't good. What they're trying to do is just build a little confidence, build a little consistency. And as I mentioned, just a couple of minutes ago, it's just time to kind of move on and do what you need to do to get ready for next week's opponent.
Well, the sophomore is out at quarterback. They will bring a man in motion, set up offset eye to the right. They'll hand it off. This looks like it's H.L. Lewis, the ball carrier, and he will barrel up for a pickup of about 3 yards, and the scoreboard clock reads triple zeros. That means it is the end of the third quarter. We'll switch ends and play 12 more minutes of football with the Avon Orioles well out in front of the Fishers Tigers by the score of 38-3. This is Avon Oriole football on Audio Sports Online. Reynolds Body Shop is a proud sponsor of Avon football broadcast. They are conveniently located at 4325 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, just 4 stoplights east of 465. Their phone is 317-243-2372, and they are open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reynolds has been family-owned and operated for 30 years, specializing in collision repair. Reynolds Body Shop is also an insurance work specialist. Learn more about them on the web at www.reynoldsbodyshop.com. We'll start the fourth quarter of action here at Hendricks Regional Health Stadium alongside Dave Shelbourne. I'm Brian Scott. 38-3. Orioles out in front. Tigers with a 3rd down and 1 from their own 44-yard line. John Vore, the sophomore quarterback, in to helm the Oriole offense. He started the second half to replace Joel Smith. And they'll have a jumbo package here. They'll hand off to R.L. Lewis, and Lewis will have enough for the first down. H.L. Lewis, excuse me. Lewis will have the first down as he will take it up to the 47-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Tigers as we begin the fourth quarter. Avon well out in front, 38-3. They led 31-3 at the half. And they had the 20-yard touchdown run just a few moments ago by Brian Fitzgerald to extend the lead to 38-3. Meanwhile, for Fishers, they're really looking for anything to get this offense in gear. They've had one nice drive of the night that culminated in a Ben Norton field goal, but that's been about it. Vore, play action pass. He looks, he fires. Nice ball deep down the sideline, and it is incomplete. And it looks like he was looking for Devontae Adams. Adams caught the ball, but the side judge said he was out of bounds. So it goes incomplete, but a nice ball thrown by the sophomore.
Yeah, it was, and as a coach, the execution was perfect except for the split of the wide receiver. You can't take that wider split when you're going to try and run a play down the sideline. You have to split to give yourself a little breathing room so you can make that catch, because that was a wasted perfect throw and a terrific catch on the sideline and really outstanding protection by their offensive line.
2nd and 10. This is a give to Lewis once again. He'll be brought down after a very short gain. And coming in to make the play was Brian Fitzgerald. Playing both ways, offense and defense. And here we are in the fourth quarter, still seeing quite a few of the first teamers. Fitzgerald makes the play. It'll bring up 3rd down and 8. And again, Tigers, you can tell, as Coach Shelbourne said, they're not here trying to make massive gains back. Now it's just a matter of run plays, run offense, see if you can make positive plays. And now they have a 3rd down and 8. Vore back to pass. Plenty of protection. He fires. Nice ball right side. It is complete. And another very nice throw.
Beautiful throw. Yep, that was an out route about 20 yards down the field. Timing was good. The throw was perfect. Very nice catch. Very nice play. One of the better plays we've seen out of the Fishers offense here tonight.
Jaron Tunstall was the receiver and made a nice catch there. And the Tigers are in Oro territory at the 37-yard line, 1st and 10. They trail 38-3, 10:22 left to go in the football game. 4 wideouts for Vore. Give the ball to Lewis, and Lewis is just going to find nothing but a lot of trouble. He got stacked up immediately because coming in there to make the tackle there for Avon was Matt Brom, also Alex Griffith, and a few others in there to make the tackle for Avon. It's a loss of 2 on the play.
Yeah, Matt's an upcoming sophomore. I know they liked him at the beginning of the year. He's a tough kid. He plays hard and made an outstanding play on that play.
So 2nd down and 12, ball now back at the 39-yard line of Avon. Tigers with 3 wideouts, 2 to the far side. Lewis stays in a tailback as Vore goes under center. Vore back to pass. Pressure comes. He will throw this ball away. And there for a sophomore, some pretty heady play there. The pressure was coming, and he elected just to get rid of that football, not try to make anything happen that wasn't there.
And the pressure is still coming. We're 9 minutes to go in the game, and Avon's up 38-3, and they're still in their game plan. They're still pressuring. They're still coming after people, and they're still trying to make things very tough for Fishers, and they have been.
So that's going to bring up 3rd down and 12 for the Tigers. Ball at the 39-yard line of Avon. Need to take it to the 27 if the Tigers hope for a 1st down. Vore pointing out the linebacker. Lewis the tailback. 3 wideouts. Vore back to pass. Here comes the blitz. They do get it off, and they find their man on the near side. Good pressure came. The Tigers will get some yardage out of that as Vore was able to get rid of the football because coming in was Seth Lewis, the nose guard. But Vore able to get it to Colin Stats for a pickup of about 8-9 yards on the play down to the 31-yard line.
And a really nice rundown by Gunnar Larson. Gunner's a defensive end, and he read the play, recognized the block by the lineman in front of him was a screen block, and he chased that play down from behind, and you don't see many defensive linemen that have the ability to do that.
Well, down 38-3, they will go for it on 4th down and 4 from the Oriole 31-yard line. John Vore, the quarterback. He will give it to Lewis. Lewis will cut it up inside, and Lewis needed 4, got 5, and he takes it down to the 26-yard line, and the Tigers will convert on 4th down on a pretty nice run.
Keeping the drive alive. They're, again, looking for a little spark, looking for a little consistency. The sophomore quarterback you mentioned has gotten in there and, provided a little bit of spark. They've been a little bit sharper this half, even though they haven't put any points up on the board. They have been able to move the football this half with a little bit of consistency.
It's the 1st and 10 at the Avon 26-yard line, 8:20 and counting on the Hendricks Regional Health scoreboard. Fires right side, Colin Stats, incomplete. Ball was a little bit behind the intended receiver. Coming over there in coverage for Avon was Sammy Bullock, the 5'10", 160-pound junior cornerback. Going to bring up 2nd and 10. You can really tell from the young sophomore between that first drive that he was firing some passes and balls were high, balls were out. He's starting to dial it in a little bit better, and he's starting to dial in his receivers a little bit better.
Well, he's getting comfortable, and, you get that confidence. He's made a couple of really nice throws out here tonight.
Here's a fake, and they'll keep it. John Vore fake the handoff to Trevor Newman. He goes down after a pickup of a few yards, and he'll take it inside the 20 to about the 19-yard line. 3rd down, about 3. I believe Brian Fitzgerald made the tackle for Avon as, once again, the Tigers moving the ball, not in any hurry. Again, this game is pretty much over for them, 38-3, but as Coach Shelbourne mentioned, now just trying to find positives in their offensive game plan. And the clock is moving with 7:37 left to go in the football game. The Tigers are now marching it down the field. Vore pass. He's looking for Stats in behind him. Pass well defended by Sammy Bullock, who was in coverage with Stats, and the ball is incomplete. And once again, the Tigers will have a 4th down. 4th and 3, ball at the Oriole 19-yard line. Clock stop with 7:27 left to go. And for the young man, for Fishers at quarterback, he's been doing this against the number 1 Oriole defense. And he will once again have a 4th down and 3 as the Tigers will put 4 wide outs, 3 to the far side of the formation. The Orioles, they will again fake the handoff, and once again here's Vore, and here's a penalty flag that comes in late. Vore faked the handoff, dove forward, but a holding penalty. And that is something that I'm sure Coach Mike Kelly over there on the sideline, especially on this one, that was a great play by the young sophomore to get the 1st down and convert on 4th down, but a holding penalty is going to nullify it and push the Tigers back. And that ball will be pushed back all the way back to the 27-yard line, pretty much near, actually behind the original line of scrimmage, so it's going to be 4th down and 11 for Tigers.
Nice play call. They just, ran a little veer counter with the quarterback. He made a nice run. 4th and 11 is a lot tougher.
Zavor with Newman to his left will work out of the gun. He will take the snap. Pressure comes. He will step back, fires, throws this one high, looking for his intended receiver on that play, which was Jaron Tunstall once again. And ball's incomplete, and the turnover on downs will give the ball back to Avon with exactly 7 minutes showing on the scoreboard with a Avon advantage of 38-3. And it will still be Cameron Meisner that heads out to begin this drive with a 38-3 lead, and the ball resting at the Avon 27-yard line. So Meisner in the offense back out. Samson James is the tailback, and he will get the ball. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication there as the handoff not quite as smooth, and James is dropped for about maybe a yard loss or no gain on the play. He'll say he got back to the original line of scrimmage. So 2nd down and 10 for Avon. Clock moving, 6:40 left to go in the football game. 3 wide outs, and now we are beginning to see some other players in there for Avon. Zion Davis in as a wide receiver. Here's Samson James. He'll take the edge, and he will pick up maybe a 1st down, but there's so much yellow in the air, it's going to be really tough to tell. James went down, and flags flew from everywhere, and James is hobbling to the sideline. So James hobbling off to the sideline after that run, and again, a lot of laundry out on the field. And it's holding called against Avon. But James, he comes off to the sideline hobbling. And now they will put Corey DePriest back there at tailback. Again, we are starting to see more and more second-teamers in for Avon as Zion Davis now in the football game. Cameron Moulton's in there as well, but he's a starter. And Cameron Meisner, he is the quarterback, and this pass complete. Here's Moulton, makes a little juke move to the 30, to the 35, and he might have enough for a 1st down. So Cameron Moulton is going to be a couple of yards shy. That penalty is going to make this about 2 yards shy of the 1st down. And that will bring up 3rd down and 2 as we go under 6 minutes left to go in this football game. Other players that we see in the contest, Andrew Buis also in as a wide receiver. And in at tailback. And getting the carry is Cameron Sims. And Sims needed 2, picked up 3, and Orioles move the chains. So Cameron Sims in a tailback, a 5'11", 185-pound junior, as they continue to look at Samson James on the sideline. Corey DePriest lined up a tailback for one play, but now Cameron Sims in for the Orioles as Buis and Zion Davis to the far side. The give is to Sims. He doesn't find any room in the middle, and he'll head out to the right side, and he's going to pick up about 3. Nothing in the middle, but Sims, like Fitzgerald before him, bounced it outside, turned something into nothing. He'll pick up a few yards to the 41-yard line. That'll bring up second down and 7 with the clock still moving. 5 minutes left to go in the football game. Trying to keep an eye on the substitutions currently in the game for Avon. But Cameron Meisner, he remains the quarterback. And he will have a second and 7 from the Oriole 41-yard line as he bleeds the play clock down. And they will snap it with 3 seconds. Here's Sims, looks for some room near side. He's pursued, and he will be brought down for little to no gain as he is brought down over here on the near sideline. Tackle made over here on the near sideline by Bryce Reardon, is now the Tigers also substituting as we are now in the closing minutes of this football game. Both teams beginning to make a lot of substitutions. And as you might expect, some confusion on the Oriole offensive formation as we have a lot of second-teamers. But Meisner will stand back and take the snap with 3 seconds left. He'll fire. He finds Moulton. Moulton makes one man miss, and Moulton is going to be very, very close to a first down. He made one man miss, and then that allowed him to gain that extra yard and pick up the yardage necessary to get the first down. That ball is spotted at the Oriole 49-yard line, 1st and 10. The drive continues, and the clock continues to run with 3 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in the football game. Avon up 38-3. Davis, Moulton will come to the far side. Buis is to the near side. Sims is still the tailback. Looks over that 4 down front, does Cameron Meisner. And he once again snaps it with 3 seconds. Here's Sims right up the middle, and Sims will pick up a good chunk of yardage, about 8 yards on 1st and 10, down to the Fishers 43-yard line, 42-yard line. Let's make it. Give him a credit him with a 9-yard gain on 1st down, and keeps the clock moving as we're under 3 minutes left to go in the football game. An impressive, impressive game from Avon tonight. Cameron Meisner has looked very sharp pretty much all night long as he looks over, and he's done a great job of clock management here, making sure they don't snap that football till about 3 seconds, 4 seconds on the play clock. Here's Sims. Sims goes left side. He'll have the first down. Inside the 40 down to the 39-yard line. Clock will stop while they move the chains, but then we'll start it right back up, and Avon will have it 1st and 10 and 2:28 showing, and now under 2:28 as the clock continues to move. Ball at the 38-yard line of Fishers. And Meisner gets the play from the sideline. Zion Davis, Cameron Moulton, they'll go to the far side of the field. Over here on the near side for Avon is Rowan Singh, a sophomore. But the give is to Cameron Sims. He goes left side, barrels under, picks up a couple of yards. But more importantly, the clock continues to move. 1:48 left to go in this football game. And as I mentioned, a very impressive game for Avon after a couple of tough losses. Fishers, a tough team. And that is, you look at the past couple of weeks, losing 14-10 to Brownsburg, 33-30 to Hamilton Southeastern in overtime. And while they have had some tough things happening around the program the past week, still a very, very strong program, and Avon has done a fantastic job tonight. Here's Sims. He's going to be upended on a nice play coming in to make the tackle for the Tigers was Logan Weaver.
Yeah, Avon did just about everything right out here tonight. Offensively, they were sharp. They mixed things up. They got a lot of people involved. Fitz provided a little spark when he got in there at running back. Meisner had, I think, we would probably agree, his best game of the season tonight. He was sharp. He threw the ball well. He made good decisions. If I'm remembering correctly, there were no offensive turnovers. The offensive line probably played their best game again against a solid defense that Fishers has. And defensively, I thought Avon came, got aggressive, made some plays, had a couple opportunities for interceptions, and just pretty much just flew to the football and did the things they needed to do. So good game to have. You always want to get better every week. For 6 games into the season, Avon played their best game of the year. They've got 3 important games to get under their belt before they get to the tournament. And again, 6A sectional. It's a very tough sectional, and they look like they're heading in the right direction.
That's going to be the final play of the game as the Avon Orioles knock off Fishers 38-3. And before we go, we'll just have some final thoughts. You heard from Coach Shelbourne, and as we mentioned, one of the best performances we've seen from Avon all season long. Put 2 good halves together. The defense has been very, very tough these past few games. They had a couple of them get away from them. If you take that first half at Brownsburg and kind of take that out of the equation, when Brownsburg really had a very strong attack in that first half, but they were shut down in the second half by Avon. And then, as Coach Bless said last week against Whiteland, Avon pretty much dominated that game except for the final 7 minutes or so, and that was really the difference in the game. But tonight, a very, very focused, a very, very intense Avon Oriole football team. They come home, get a little home cooking. It's also homecoming, and they play their best football game of the season, and they're going to walk away with the win tonight by the score of 38-3. For the Avon Orioles, their record now improves to 3-3 on the season. They are 2-1 in Hoosier Crossroads Conference play. For the Fishers Tigers, they fall to 2-4 on the year. They have now lost 4 in a row, and they are, more importantly, they are 0-4 in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. For Fishers next week, they will be back home. They will have the non-conference game of the week. They will take on a very tough Cathedral team. And for the Avon Orioles, we will have that game for you on Audio Sports Online as the Orioles travel to Westfield to take on the Westfield Shamrocks. Coach, any final thoughts about tonight's game on a very big win tonight for Avon on homecoming?
Well, lots of positives. The offense played well, the defense played well, the special teams were good. Like I said, as a head coach, the only concern, and I mentioned it, in the third quarter, was to try to get through injury-free. Sampson went down. It looks like a little bit of an ankle. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. And he'll be back ready to go next week. He's an important part of the offense as well. But, they have to be really pleased. This is one of those games we mentioned before the game. When you lose a couple tough ones, you ease off a little bit. The attitude this week might have to be a little bit different because they did play a great game tonight. They've got a tough opponent coming up next week, and actually tough opponents for 3 weeks. So they're going to have to continue to play at this intensity. And I know as a coach, and anybody that's been around the game knows it's going to have to be with really, really, really good practices during the week. So I'm sure the coaches will be out here and stay on top of the players and make them play as well as they did tonight.
That's going to do it here from Hendricks Regional Health Stadium. Once again, our final score: Avon, they defeat Fishers by the score of 38-3. We'll be back with you next week from Westfield when Coach Shelbourne and I will have the call of the game between the Avon Orioles and the Westfield Shamrocks. And don't forget, tune in Tuesday night. You can listen to the Mark Bless Show, the podcast, as I'll be talking to the head coach of the Avon Orioles, Coach Mark Bless. And you can listen to that game or listen to that on Audio Sports Online. Tonight's game from Hendricks Regional Health of Avon Oriole football has been brought to you by Reynolds Body Shop, McNamara Florist, Red Cobra Wrestling, and Avon Dental Center. Avon Oriole football is an Audio Sports Online production.